Alex entered Sector 7 to hunt monsters and win a bet. Instead, the wilderness became an assassination ground. Communications were jammed, a barrier sealed him inside. Then 67 unstable beast grandmasters and 50 demonoids emerged, creatures deliberately evolved far beyond the level students were supposed to face. The traitors behind the attack believed Alex lacked the strength to survive. They were wrong. Alex activated Sword Intent, Existential Nullity, and Maximum Gravity Manipulation at the same time. Every Grandmaster monster was pinned in place, and within 3 minutes all 67 were dead. But surviving the ambush only exposed a deeper threat. His Eye of Revelation later revealed that one of the respected saints was secretly connected to the Monster Association. And while everyone was still trying to understand how Alex had survived untouched, he was quietly collecting powers no one knew he possessed. A handshake gave him SSS space manipulation. Another gave him gravity manipulation. He fused teleportation with 50 spirit weapons, turning flying knives into attacks that were nearly impossible to perceive or defend against. Then, after challenging a Grandmaster's illusion and completely sealing its talent, Alex's growth accelerated again. But the strangest breakthrough came from an old man serving barbecue in a hidden restaurant packed with saints and emperors. Alex didn't just discover the identity of the restaurant's owner. He found a way to copy the first SSS-ranked alchemist talent and earned formal access to the Magnus Tower, where his next experiment could change the speed of his cultivation entirely. Previously, Alex Moriarty was an orphan betrayed by Kate and Ray, until he transmigrated into the Moriarty heir's body after a 2-year coma. Since then, he has climbed the Ascension Tower beyond anything humanity has recorded, conquering all 100 stairs as the first known human or existence to reach the top. The 5 eternal grade rewards he received transformed his potential, granting him the primordial chaos physique, existential nullity, the Eye of Revelation, eternal cultivation talent, and eternal sword talent. Now an Alliance Grade 0 Elite and Tower Conqueror, Alex has cultivated to level 16, wielding overwhelming strength, spirit power, sword intent, and a self-created sword art. His spirit master abilities let him read cultivation and talents, control multiple targets, fly with his Omniweave board, and dominate the battlefield through telekinesis and mental pressure. Yet his most dangerous power, existential nullity, remains hidden. Under the right realm gap conditions, it can suppress an opponent's bloodline talent. Alex joined the Alliance instead of returning to the hostile Moriarty family, choosing to protect his mother Elizabeth while searching for his missing father Noah. At Aurora Martial Institution's recruitment, he and 4 other SSS prodigies, Selena Valentina, Ray Rosario, Anna Celestis, and Aaron Nightville, were exempted from the first phase and sent directly into the combat simulation. But the group is far from united. Ray seeks a battle with Alex, and Alex considers him the only truly meaningful opponent among them. Aaron already hates Alex after Alex secretly suppressed his shadow assimilation bloodline, humiliated him before the observers, and then restored it before anyone understood what had happened. Anna tried to become Alex's friend, but he rejected her offer, insisting that trust must be earned. Her protective ancestor, Max Celestis, may not remain silent. Meanwhile, Kale Moriarty, hostile relatives, Kate, and the Ray tied to Alex's former betrayal remain unresolved threats. Aurora's recruitment is only beginning. The realistic neural simulation will test the candidates in combat before the survival trial, and Aaron's resentment may soon erupt into violence. And now, inside Aurora's simulation room, Alex has put on a neural helmet. His consciousness has just entered a virtual battlefield requested for practice, while the other 4 prodigies remain present in the recruitment simulation. Alex opened his eyes inside a private virtual battlefield. The ground beneath him was neither stone nor metal. It was a seamless dark gray composite surface designed to withstand catastrophic impacts. The arena stretched in every direction, easily 10 times larger than a standard football field, while layered energy barriers shimmered along the horizon and formed an artificial sky around the combat zone. Private chambers stood along one side of the field, but Alex had no interest in watching anyone else. He had entered this simulation to investigate the weakness of his bloodline talent, existential nullity. The environment was realistic enough to deceive every sense. The air had weight, gravity behaved normally, and even the sound of his heartbeat seemed louder than usual. Alex kept thinking about what had happened when he used existential nullity on Aaron. The talent had worked. Aaron's abilities were suppressed, and the result had been decisive. However, Alex had felt something at the exact moment he activated it, a brief but definite resistance. He had ignored that sensation at first, now he could no longer dismiss it. Existential nullity was supposed to erase a talent's influence at its root. If Alex had encountered resistance, then the ability was not truly unlimited. It had conditions, thresholds, or some hidden weakness. Entering a life-or-death battle without understanding that weakness could eventually cost him his life. The combat simulation was ideal for testing it. Alex could create opponents, adjust their talents, ranks, and realms, and conduct the experiment without outside observers. Normally, reserving a private battlefield required a significant number of credits. Today, however, access was free. A blue interface appeared as soon as Alex stepped forward. The system asked whether he wanted to fight recorded versions of real individuals or generate a modified opponent. Alex chose the second option. A recorded opponent could introduce unpredictable factors, while a custom enemy would let him test specific conditions. He selected a humanoid male with an SSS rank elemental talent focused on fire. For the opponent's strength, he chose Martial Warrior, level 9. Space twisted in front of him. Heat spread across the arena as a figure formed inside faint crimson flames, its presence alone distorting the surrounding air. Alex did not activate existential nullity yet. Instead, he ordered the simulated warrior to use its talent. The opponent's eyes ignited, and hundreds of blazing fireballs appeared overhead, beginning the barrage. Alex still did not activate his bloodline talent. Instead, he raised his chin and ordered the simulated warrior to use its fire ability. The opponent's eyes ignited. At once, hundreds of blazing fireballs formed above its head. Each sphere was dense and compressed, humming with destructive energy as the orange glow spread across the arena. When the warrior released them, the battlefield erupted. The fireballs descended together, detonating in a cascading barrage. The ground cracked apart, molten fragments flew in every direction, and overlapping shockwaves tore through the arena. Alex relied on neither brute force nor another talent. He moved through the explosions with precise footwork, calculating each step. Whenever an attack left no safe path, a faint shimmer appeared around his wrist. His wristband shield deflected several fireballs at once. Even with that protection, the sheer number of projectiles forced him backward. While evading, Alex analyzed the attack. A level 9 warrior usually possessed physical power equivalent to 10,000 kilograms, while each fireball carried at least 500 kilograms of destructive force. The SSS rank talent provided a rank 9 amplification, meaning a single concentrated fire attack could approach 90 tons of power. However, the simulated warrior had divided that strength across hundreds of projectiles. Each individual strike was weaker, but the attack covered almost the entire battlefield. Then Alex activated existential nullity and targeted the opponent's fire manipulation directly. Every fireball froze in midair before vanishing without sound, heat, or residue. The warrior's flames disappeared as well. Because the simulated opponent was below Alex's realm, the suppression was complete, 100%, yet Alex detected a faint, negligible resistance. It was not caused by the SSS talent rank. That rank was already near the ceiling. Alex narrowed his eyes and considered another possibility. The resistance might depend on quantity. Without hesitation, Alex reopened the interface and generated a second opponent. This one was a humanoid male with an SSS-ranked elemental talent, ice as his assigned element, and the same warrior, level 9 realm as the first. The two opponents stood side by side and attacked together. Fire and ice erupted at the same time, colliding across the battlefield in chaotic waves of heat and frost. The entire area became a storm of burning air and freezing mist. Alex activated existential nullity again. This time the resistance was unmistakable. With 2 targets instead of 1, it had doubled. Alex's lips curved upward. Got it. The issue was not talent rank, it was the number of targets being suppressed simultaneously. To verify the pattern, he created more level 9 warrior opponents. One used lightning, another wind, and another earth. Their abilities differed, but all of them possessed SSS-ranked talents. Alex increased the number step by step. 3 opponents became 4, then 5, and the resistance continued rising. Even at 10 opponents, existential nullity could still suppress every target completely. However, the strain became severe. His temples throbbed while his mental energy burned rapidly, as if he were holding 10 collapsing structures upright at once. Then Alex created an 11th opponent. The moment he activated existential nullity, the suppression failed. His conclusion was now confirmed. The ability could handle 10 targets, exactly matching the number of objects he could mentally control. To exceed that limit, he would need a technique capable of dividing, layering, or amplifying his mental processing. But Alex was not finished. For 5 hours, he tested physical enhancement, elemental, perception, regeneration, speed amplification, and hybrid talents, changing realms and combat styles while recording nullity's effects. The pattern became clear. Existential nullity suppressed talents requiring active invocation or relying on laws, concepts, or external energy structures. Weapon mastery was different. It required no activation and permanently etched understanding, instincts, and technique into the soul. Since nothing external was invoked, his bloodline talent could not nullify it. Alex then challenged Grandmaster-level simulations against SSS-ranked weapon masters. Here, he had no bloodline advantage, only his own skill mattered. His combat prowess was Grandmaster level 1, close to level 2. With Eternal Sword and Spirit Mastery, he fought opponents up to Grandmaster level 5, 4 minor realms above him. Despite their superior speed, strength, and experience, he held his ground. When the final battle ended, Alex dropped to one knee, drenched in sweat, muscles trembling. His eyes remained bright. The session had given him clarity and confidence. After resting, he prepared to test different monster classes, but the AI warned that Phase 2 would begin shortly and ordered him out within 5 minutes. Alex smiled and exited the simulation. Alex stepped out of the private chamber with steady breathing, but his blood was still racing. The prolonged battle had pushed him to his limits, yet instead of feeling exhausted, his body felt light and energized. The simulation had sharpened his hunger for combat. At that moment, Alex wanted to show off. But when he raised his head, his steps slowed. The vast battleground was packed with roughly 1,500 students. They stood in scattered groups, surrounded by nervous chatter and barely concealed excitement. The moment Alex appeared, many of them turned toward him, and whispers spread through the crowd. Only 750 students would remain after today's second phase. That realization cooled Alex's excitement. A faint chill ran up his spine, telling him that something was wrong. He quietly expanded his mental domain and swept his perception across the battlefield, filtering through emotions, intentions, and spiritual fluctuations. The source of the pressure was easy to locate. A pair of cold eyes had locked onto him. Alex followed the sensation and found Ana Celestis standing among the students. Her posture was calm and her expression appeared serene, but her stare was filled with icy hostility. The intensity in her eyes made the surrounding air feel heavier. Alex wondered what she wanted, but her expression revealed nothing. After a moment, he withdrew his mental domain and decided not to press the matter. If Ana had something to say, she could say it herself. As he moved farther onto the field, the instructor overseeing the session approached him. After studying Alex for a moment, the instructor smiled and remarked that he seemed to have trained hard. He then asked about the combat simulation. Alex immediately admitted that the experience had been incredible and said he was already addicted to it. He also asked how much it would cost to continue using a private chamber after today. The instructor explained that the institution operated entirely on credit points. Federation coins were useless inside the academy, and reserving a private virtual battleground chamber cost 100 points per hour. Alex's enthusiasm dipped, but the instructor quickly added that Grade 0 Alliance elites received an 80% discount on institutional services. For Alex, the price dropped to just 20 points per hour. That was far cheaper than expected, and it improved Alex's opinion of the Alliance. The organization was not merely gathering powerful talents, it was actively supporting their growth. Ray then stepped forward and asked whether discounts were available only to graded Alliance elites, or if students could earn them in other ways. Although his family was a wealthy saint-level family, that wealth had little value here. Credit points controlled academy resources, and Ray lacked older family members established inside the institution to support him. The instructor explained that the academy had 10 towers, each serving a different purpose. Ranking within the top 10 of any tower granted benefits, including discounts, with higher ranks receiving greater rewards. Ray's eyes immediately brightened. The instructor then called for any final questions. Once the session began, every student would receive 1 free hour in the virtual battleground. After that, the third phase would begin tomorrow. A low murmur spread through the students as cards were distributed. Each card carried a number, and anyone who drew the same number would be sent into a one-on-one arena against the other matching student. Before the drawing was complete, Ray raised his voice again and asked whether they could challenge opponents of their own choosing. His eyes were practically burning with anticipation, clearly hoping to force a fight against Alex. The instructor, however, looked completely unsurprised. He explained that the 5 top geniuses were not allowed to fight one another during this phase. That instantly killed Ray's excitement. After a brief moment of frustration, he recovered and declared that he wanted to challenge Alex anyway. Alex could only smile wryly. Like the other geniuses, Ray wanted to measure himself against the strongest opponent available. The instructor ignored the tension and ordered everyone to check their cards. Students opened them one by one, silently praying they had not been matched with Alex. A moment later, 750 arenas materialized across the virtual battleground. Each arena contained 2 participants, separated from the others by shimmering barriers. Alex looked around in genuine amazement at the enormous training ground. Then he turned toward his opponent, a young woman from a monarch-level family. Her cultivation was decent and her stance was disciplined, but she was not looking at him like an enemy. She was staring at him with open fanaticism. "Sir Alex, may I have a hug?" she asked. "I'll forfeit immediately." Alex froze. He had never been faced with anything like that before. The request carried such intense admiration that it left him momentarily speechless. Their exchange echoed through the battleground, and several female students immediately stopped fighting to watch. Jealous shouts erupted from nearby arenas, with one student even threatening to break the woman's legs after they returned. Anna's expression darkened as she watched. Her gaze became venomous, and she muttered that perhaps the woman should be married to one of her servants. An icy aura burst from her body. Her opponent felt it at once. The boy forfeited without hesitation and fled the arena, terrified by the pressure coming from Anna. Alex, meanwhile, politely refused the hug. The disappointed woman smiled weakly, then forfeited as promised. After that, the other students gradually returned to their matches. The second phase ended soon afterward. Only 750 students remained, and the instructor announced that every winner could stay and receive free time to continue training in the virtual battleground. Alex was preparing to enter a simulation chamber when Ray appeared with his spear and demanded a fight. Alex told him not to waste his training time and to challenge him later. Ray then asked for one promise. After entering the academy, Alex had to fight him first. Alex agreed. With that settled, he entered the simulation chamber and returned to his monster practice. Inside the virtual battlefield, Alex changed his training target. Since the third phase would take place in the wilderness, he decided to practice against monsters instead of human opponents. He instructed the AI to summon 10 Grandmaster-level monsters from within a 100-kilometer area around the light domain. Moments later, shadow wolves, mastiff tigers, crimson cats, earth boars, flame lions, and other dangerous creatures appeared around him. Each monster either possessed a powerful ability or had an exceptionally strong physical body. Alex wanted to test whether his bloodline talent could suppress both types. For the first 50 minutes, he allowed the monsters to attack at full strength. He studied their abilities, combat instincts, attack patterns, and overall battle prowess. Only after he understood how each one fought did he activate his own bloodline talent. The result was immediate. The flame lion's fire dimmed and vanished. The shadow wolf was forced out of the shadows while burrowing through them. The earth boar tried to launch projectiles made of earth, but the attack failed completely. However, the mastiff tiger remained unaffected. It relied entirely on physical strength and used no abilities, proving that nullity could disable ability-based monsters, but it could not weaken raw physical power. That difference did not save the tiger. Alex swung his sword once, cutting down all 10 monsters in a single motion. With the practice finished, Alex took a breath and decided to log out. Tomorrow's wilderness test would be the real measure of his courage and everything he had learned during his training. After removing the helmet, he thanked the room's guardian for allowing him to practice so long. The saint instructor replied politely, but Alex's gratitude clearly made him proud. Alex was about to leave when Selena approached and suggested that they team up for the wilderness test. She extended her hand and Alex shook it without suspecting anything. He casually answered that they would first have to see whether the academy allowed teams. Then a notification appeared directly inside his mind. It detected an SSS elemental talent called space manipulation and asked whether he wanted to copy it. Alex froze. He had never known that the system could speak to him, and he had not realized it could copy talents. He briefly considered Ray and his mother, wondering whether rank or some other condition explained why their talents had not triggered before. Selena was already pulling her hand away, so Alex made his decision. Copy. The system confirmed that space manipulation had been copied. Alex released her hand. Selena sensed something slightly uneasy about the exchange, but she did not investigate. She simply said goodbye and left, while Alex remained with a completely new function to understand. Before Alex could examine his new ability, another chill crawled down his back. Anna was staring at him venomously, as if he had stolen her favorite food. Pervert! She rolled her eyes and walked away, leaving Alex wondering what had caused her hostility. He ignored her and opened the Bloodline Talent section of his panel. The list still showed his 4 eternal talents: Existential Nullity, Sword Talent, Eye of Revelation, and Primordial Chaos Physique. Below them, however, was a new entry. External Talents 110. Space Manipulation was listed beneath it with an SSS rank. The panel also displayed 2 important rules. Only SS rank and higher talents could be copied, and 3 talents with the same rank and element could be merged into a stronger talent. Alex stared at the information in surprise. He had not known that copying talents came with its own system. He also could not tell whether this function came from the system or from his primordial chaos physique. Regardless, he now had another powerful advantage. His current capacity allowed him to hold 10 external talents, though he did not know whether that limit could eventually increase. His immediate conclusion was that he would need to touch many more people in the future. The thought made his expression darken. It also reminded him that he still needed to understand space manipulation, so he called out to Selena before she could leave. He invited her for coffee, intending to question her about the talent. Selena was surprised by the sudden invitation, but accepted while keeping her reaction controlled. The Guardian then appeared and recommended a coffee shop. After thanking him, Alex left with Selena. Anna followed them closely. When Selena stopped and demanded to know why she was stalking them, Anna claimed that she simply wanted good coffee. Alex found the excuse suspicious, but casually invited her to join them. Anna immediately accepted, pretending Alex had merely insisted. Outside, Alex called a taxi. Selena tried to gain an advantage by suggesting they use her family's pet, while Anna countered by offering her king-class flying ship. Neither girl wanted to lose the argument, but Alex dismissed both options and said anyone who wanted to come could ride with him. He entered the taxi. Selena instantly took the seat beside him, smiling triumphantly at Anna. Anna clenched her fists, then entered after sending a frustrated message to her maid. With both girls competing for Alex's attention, the taxi carried all 3 of them toward the coffee shop. Soon, the taxi reached a coffee shop. As Alex, Selena, and Anna stepped out, 2 neat rows of staff bowed deeply and welcomed them by name. None of the 3 found the treatment surprising. Their identities made such courtesy natural. Alex gave a small nod and they chose a quiet table inside. He ordered the best drinks in the shop, but his attention was already fixed on Selena. The moment she noticed him staring, her neck, ears, and cheeks turned red. She looked so embarrassed that it seemed steam might rise from her head. Anna immediately misunderstood the situation. With a hint of jealousy, she accused Alex of staring rudely at a young maiden. Alex quickly explained that he was not flirting. He was simply curious about Selena's space manipulation. That explanation changed the mood. Selena regained her composure and began describing her talent. She could teleport one object at a time from one location to another, as long as the destination remained within her line of sight. The object also had to be under 2 meters in length, and its weight could not exceed 9 times what Selena could normally carry. Then she admitted that she had once tried teleporting a rat. The rat died. Selena did not hide the failure, but she had stopped experimenting with living creatures afterward. Alex wondered whether an energy shield could protect a living target during teleportation. Selena had never tried it, so neither of them knew whether that method would work. Alex also asked how many objects she could move at once. The answer was only 1. Even with those limits, the ability gave him valuable information about how space manipulation functioned. He thanked her sincerely, already wanting to test the talent himself, though he first planned to visit the Alliance. Selena then asked why he was so interested. Alex explained that he wanted to know what existed beyond the planet, and asked whether she might eventually teleport directly to the moon. The question was partly a lie, but not entirely. Selena calmly answered that she might be able to do it after reaching the Emperor realm. That possibility showed how much stronger the talent could become with sufficient cultivation. Anna then asked why Alex was not showing the same interest in her ability. Alex laughed and pointed out that she was the princess of the Celestis family. Even if he asked, would she truly reveal it? Anna immediately realized that he knew her identity and confronted him about his earlier refusal to become her friend. She asked whether she was not worthy of his friendship. Alex finally understood that much of her previous behavior came from that rejection. He explained that friendship was not a question of worthiness. He simply struggled to trust the people around him, making friendship difficult. Still, he promised that if he eventually learned to trust her and she continued wanting it, they would become friends. Anna was relieved, though the answer also saddened her. She knew about Alex's past, so she understood why he kept others at a distance. Even so, she accepted his promise. She then revealed her talent, gravity manipulation. Anna claimed she could increase gravity by up to 100 times within a 50-meter radius as long as the area remained within her eyesight. She could also decrease gravity. However, Alex noticed that her ability description indicated a possible limit of up to 1,000 times. That raised the possibility that Anna either did not yet know her full potential or could currently use only 100 times. Alex thanked her and suggested that they team up the next day if teams were permitted. He extended his hand, and Anna, blushing beneath her veil, accepted the handshake. At once, the system detected gravity manipulation and asked whether he wanted to copy it. Alex was surprised that gravity counted as an elemental talent. He had considered it closer to a physical or law-type ability, but the classification made no difference. Since it was an SSS-ranked talent, he copied it immediately. After saying goodbye to both girls, Alex left in a taxi toward the Alliance, now possessing both space manipulation and gravity manipulation. Alex went looking for Tenzin, the man who had introduced him to the wristband. He was not sure Tenzin would still be at the Alliance so late at night, but he found him preparing to leave. Tenzin asked what brought him there, and Alex explained that he wanted to upgrade the wristband. As a spirit master, he needed flying knives and other floating weapons. If the device could create more than 50 different objects simultaneously, managing his arsenal would become far more convenient. Tenzin immediately contacted the chief engineer in the technology department. After waiting for a while, he returned with good news. The engineers confirmed that the upgrade was possible, although it would take some time. Since Alex's wilderness practical test was scheduled for the following day, they promised to finish the work before then and send the upgraded wristband to his hotel. Alex thanked Tenzin, left the wristband in his care, and returned to the hotel. But instead of sleeping, he entered the training room and locked the door. He still wanted to keep his space manipulation talent hidden. Alex took 3 obsidian flying knives from his space ring and made them float in front of him. He had already controlled weapons through spirit mastery. Now he wanted to combine that control with teleportation. The goal was simple in theory: teleport a knife to a chosen location without warning, then take control of it the instant it reappeared. He placed several targets around the room, set 2 knives aside, and began with a single blade. At his command, the knife vanished and instantly appeared beside one of the targets. Alex tried to seize it with his mental energy the moment it returned, but he failed. That result was expected, so he continued practicing. 6 hours passed. By morning, Alex was still training. Eventually, 3 knives began vanishing and reappearing throughout the room, striking targets from different angles like ghosts. He had synchronized space manipulation with spirit mastery. Ordinary spirit masters were already difficult to defend against because their weapons attacked from multiple directions. Alex's knives were even more dangerous. They reappeared under his immediate mental control, making the attack difficult to perceive and nearly impossible to defend against before the strike came. Alex suspected space manipulation had uses beyond teleportation, but he had no time to investigate. Satisfied, he left the training room, showered, and joined Elizabeth for breakfast. Seeing how exhausted he was, Elizabeth warned him, "You still need proper rest." Alex assured her that he had only been excited about the test. Soon, the morning of the wilderness test arrived. Tenzin soon entered the restaurant where Alex and Elizabeth were finishing breakfast. He greeted them politely, then explained that he had come personally because the Omniweave had received major upgrades. Alex's anticipation was obvious as he asked about the new functions. Tenzin explained that the wristband could now create a full-body armor at the Saint level, a Saint-level weapon, and up to 50 flying knives at the same time. The armor was designed for use in the wilderness, where the dark miasma would normally be dangerous. With the upgraded Omniweave protecting him, Alex would not be harmed by it. He would also be able to see clearly in complete darkness without needing any additional equipment. Alex sincerely thanked Tenzin and accepted the wristband. The Omniweave had effectively become a fully fledged Saint-level weapon, and even the knives it produced were Saint-level. In practical terms, Alex could continue relying on it until he reached Saint-level strength himself. After equipping the upgraded wristband, Alex said goodbye to Elizabeth and left the hotel on his surfing board. Elizabeth watched him go with visible concern. This was the first time Alex would be leaving the light domain to hunt in the wilderness, an area far more dangerous and unpredictable than the protected city. Even locations near the light domain could suddenly be threatened by extremely powerful monsters. William then assured Elizabeth that Alex would have 10 saints protecting him throughout the hunt, including William himself. That eased her worries slightly. Alex soon arrived on the institution's campus where 750 students had already gathered for the wilderness test. Ray, Anna, Aaron, and Selena were among them. As Alex landed near the group, Anna and Selena both waved to him. Aaron immediately clenched his fists. Seeing both of them show Alex's attention only increased his jealousy and anger. He challenged Alex to a competition, proposing that they see who could kill more monsters. If Alex lost, Aaron demanded that he stay away from Anna. Alex looked at him with open disbelief and asked why he would accept a challenge from someone he barely knew. Aaron flushed with embarrassment, then raised the stakes. If Alex won, Aaron would give him his clan's SS-rank body cultivation technique. Alex recognized how valuable that offer was. An SS-rank technique could be worth more than 100 billion FC, so he questioned whether Aaron even had the authority to make the bet. Aaron insisted that he did and offered to sign a written contract, though he would provide a copy rather than the original. Anna then coldly reminded Aaron that he had no right to decide who could approach her. Aaron ignored her and pressed Alex for an answer. Alex agreed to the general competition but changed the terms. If he lost, he would surrender his 80% discount privilege for the Grade 0 Elite. Aaron's hands trembled at the offer, but he quickly accepted and demanded a contract. Anna interpreted Alex's willingness to risk such a supreme privilege as concern about approaching her. She offered to give Alex one of her family's body cultivation techniques instead, but he refused, insisting that a man had to keep his word even if the world fell apart. With that, Aaron created the contract and signed it, officially setting the terms of their monster-killing hunt. Once the contract was signed, the instructor arrived and explained the rules for the Sector 7 hunt. The students would be taken near the western continent and sent into a wilderness covered in darkness. Everyone had to wear full-body armor and special goggles, while their wristbands scanned each monster's strength and recorded the points they earned. A low-level martial warrior monster was worth 1 point, a mid-level monster 5, and a high-level monster 10. Low-level martial master monsters gave 30 points, while mid-level ones were worth 50. Anything stronger than that was considered beyond the student's ability, and saints would be stationed to guard against monsters above the martial master level. The hunt would last 24 hours, but the instructor made the danger clear. The mortality rate was over 20%. Every battle suit also contained an emergency teleportation button, which the students were expected to use if they encountered a genuine threat. They were given 30 minutes to prepare and then ordered to board the airship. Alex, Anna, Selena, and Aaron already had their own battle suits, but Ray still needed to get ready. Before boarding, Alex asked whether they could form teams. The instructor immediately rejected the idea. This was a test of individual courage and combat ability, so teamwork was forbidden. The students also could not travel beyond a 100-kilometer radius. Anna and Selena were visibly disappointed since they had hoped to hunt alongside Alex. Aaron, however, confidently claimed that darkness was his kingdom and that nobody could compete with him there. 30 minutes later, the airship departed. After an hour, it landed near Sector 7 and the students disembarked. 300 meters ahead, the light domain ended, leaving only darkness beyond it. When the instructor gave the signal, Alex shot forward with a sonic boom. He wore full-body armor, held his sword in one hand, and summoned 10 obsidian flying knives around himself. His current combat power was top martial grandmaster level 1. With 600 tons of spirit power, his mental domain could cover 6 kilometers. Since the points would become academic credits, Alex entered the wilderness and began his solo hunt. Alex activated his mental domain the moment he entered the wilderness. Without relying on the high-tech sensors built into his armor, he could now perceive everything within a 6-kilometer radius. His normal vision still worked, but in the darkness it looked like extremely sharp night vision footage. That limitation was why humans usually entered the wilderness in teams. Natural eyesight alone was not enough to detect an ambush, and one surprise attack could be fatal. Fortunately, more than 20 saints were secretly monitoring this 100-kilometer hunting zone. Their presence guaranteed that no monster above the martial master level could enter, allowing the students to hunt alone with some measure of safety. Alex accelerated toward the deeper regions. He wanted the strongest monsters, leaving the weaker ones for the other students. 10 minutes later, he had already traveled more than 80 kilometers when he stopped in midair. His mental domain had detected 21 monsters nearby, and every one of them was a high-level beast master. 7 tiger mastiffs, 5 shadow wolves, 4 earth boars, and 5 black flame cats. Alex was unsure how many points a high-level beast master was worth, so he contacted Mr. Arnold. The instructor immediately warned him that these monsters were far beyond his league and that attempting to kill one could be fatal. But when Alex asked about the reward, he learned that each kill was worth 100 points. After thanking him, Alex studied the monster's movements and decided to test whether his long-range attacks would count. He controlled all 10 obsidian knives around him. With a sharp cutting sound, the knives vanished and reappeared beside the necks of 10 distant monsters. Alex snapped his fingers and 10 heads dropped almost simultaneously. Then he checked his wristband. His score had not changed. The sensors on the wristband only recorded kills made within their nearby detection range. Since Alex had killed those monsters from roughly 6 kilometers away, none of them counted. As far as he knew, he was the only spirit master on Earth capable of exploiting distance in that way. So remote killing was useless for earning points. Alex accelerated his surfing board and flew toward the monsters personally. His first target was a black flame cat. He wanted to find out whether monster talents could also be copied. The beast was about the size of a normal lion with dark flames constantly burning across its body. Alex activated the Eye of Revelation. Name Black Flame Cat. Talent Dark Flame Attack C rank. Rank High Level Beast Master. The result confirmed that the cat possessed a talent, but its C rank was far below Alex's copying threshold. He could not copy anything lower than SS rank. Still, this suggested that monster talents might become copyable if he encountered one with a high enough rank. Alex raised one finger and said, "Die." A flying knife pierced straight through the black flame cat's body. When he checked his wristband, 100 points had been added. Alex Moriarty, 100 points first rank. At the same time, Aaron had killed 6 mid-level beast warriors for 30 points. He suddenly fell from first place to second and his expression turned furious. He had no way to see who had surpassed him, but he immediately began searching for high-level monsters, even creating 5 clones to cover more ground. Alex, however, had already forgotten about Aaron. He continued hunting. He rushed from one high-level beast master to the next, cutting them apart with his hand, sword, and flying knives, sometimes destroying them with his bare fists. In 50 minutes, he had killed 35 of them. Alex Moriarty, 3,500 points, first rank. With the lead firmly in his hands, Alex stopped hunting and prepared to test his gravity manipulation. Alex chose a lone tiger mastiff as his first test subject. The beast wandered through the area without noticing him until Alex appeared above it and pointed one finger downward. He activated gravity manipulation at maximum output. The result was immediate. The tiger mastiff did not even have time to react before the pressure crushed it into a pool of meat paste. Alex stared at the remains and realized he had made a basic mistake. He had released the full force of the talent without intending to. Damn, I need to control the output. Alex's goal was not simply to destroy monsters. He wanted to use extreme gravity to train his own body, but that required precise control first. So he continued hunting while adjusting the strength of the gravity field according to his will. The process was much harder than expected. Alex spent 3 continuous hours slaughtering hundreds of monsters, yet he could only lower the force to around 800 times normal gravity. Even at that level, the power remained overwhelmingly destructive. While practicing, he wondered whether Anna could control her own gravity manipulation, or whether she was simply a walking disaster like him. Alex kept testing different outputs and refining the area affected by his talent. The repeated use gradually exhausted both his body and his concentration, but he did not stop until there were almost no targets left. At the base camp near Sector 7, the instructors watched his score rise with dry throats. Alex Moriarty, 13,700 points, first rank. They were stunned. During the Aurora Martial Institution's 300-year history, no freshman had ever crossed 1,000 points in this test. Alex had surpassed 13,000 within only a few hours. 12 hours after beginning his hunt, Alex could no longer find any high-level beast masters or even mid-level ones. He had exterminated the local monsters while practicing his gravity control. By then, he had lowered the output to around 300 times gravity. More importantly, his precise range had expanded from a single inch to 600 meters. Alex Moriarty, 36,543 points, first rank. The constant use of gravity manipulation had finally taken a serious toll on him. With the area cleared and no worthwhile targets remaining, Alex stopped hunting. Time to rest. Alex floated 100 meters above the ground, inside a region considered relatively safe because flying monsters were forbidden from entering it. With no aerial attacks to worry about, he sat cross-legged and entered meditation. He still refused to cultivate. The instructors had repeatedly warned that cultivating in the wilderness was practically inviting death because the black miasma could corrode the mind. Anyone whose mind was completely consumed would eventually become a mindless monster, a demonoid. About 54 kilometers away, another student was hiding behind a tree. Blood covered his body and a huge claw mark had torn through his side, leaving a wound that continued to gush. A mountain bear had attacked him. His protective armor could defend against normal high-level beast master monsters, but this bear was anything but normal. Its strength had already surpassed 1,000 tons, while a high-level beast master strength-type monster should have possessed only around 500 tons. The student tried to press the teleportation button, but the bear's claw had ripped it off his armor. His communicator was also completely jammed. The saints assigned to inspect the battlefield were guarding only the border of the region. They were not monitoring every student inside the 100-kilometer zone. Only a few prominent students were being watched, and even those checks happened just once every few hours. The injured student covered his mouth and whispered that he was going to die. The bear was still searching nearby, but the creature itself was not the greatest danger. Black miasma was leaking directly from the wound and spreading through his body, slowly crawling toward his brain. Within 10 minutes, the darkness completely destroyed his consciousness. He rose from behind the tree and walked into the open. The mountain bear stared at him briefly before turning away. It sensed a similar monstrous aura from the human, and monsters normally did not attack other monsters without a reason. The student now moved like a zombie, but the aura inside him kept growing. He had originally been a level 3 martial warrior. By then, his aura had already reached level 9. Among the 20 saints guarding the border, one suddenly noticed the change. He wondered why only one modified monster had appeared in 12 hours and where the others had gone. He did not know that Alex had already killed them all. Alex had sensed that something was wrong with those monsters, but that had not stopped him from crushing them with gravity manipulation. None of the saints had witnessed it. Vice President Arthur had directly ordered them not to observe Alex while he fought, respecting Alex's wish to keep his strength hidden. If a saint's divine sense had passed over him during battle, Alex's suit would have detected it, and that saint would have been doomed. The observing saint realized the plan needed to be accelerated. Alex could not be allowed to leave the battlefield alive. Once he returned to the academy, killing him would become far more difficult. The saint had prepared a second method by planting seeds inside normal monsters in case the stronger modified creatures failed. Neither he nor his faction knew that Alex already possessed Grandmaster-level strength. They believed a few Berserk high-level beast masters and several demonoids would be enough to eliminate him. He snapped his fingers and the seeds inside the normal beast warriors burst open. The monsters would need around 3 hours to reach the Grandmaster level, but they would die after 1 hour. That gave them exactly 60 minutes to kill Alex. The saint only needed to guide them toward his location. 3 hours later, Alex ended his meditation. His body felt much lighter and 9 hours remained in the test. He decided to search for the other students. During those 3 hours, 67 Grandmaster-level monsters had emerged across the region and attacked more than 50 students. 50 demonoids had appeared as well. The saint had arranged everything carefully enough that the other saints noticed nothing unusual. At the base camp, an instructor reported that a communication jammer had activated, cutting off contact with both the students and the saints. Arnold immediately ordered the test cancelled, called for the third protocol, and demanded the last known locations of 5 students, especially Alex's. He then flew toward the battlefield himself. At that exact moment, 20 saint-level monsters suddenly attacked the 20 saints guarding the border. Only Saint Darren remained calm. He ordered the gigantic ape confronting him to stop Arnold while warning it not to approach within 5 kilometers of Alex. If that happened, Arthur would come personally and ruin their plan. The ape rejected his command, calling Darren nothing more than a pawn. Then it rushed into the 100-kilometer region to intercept Arnold. Meanwhile, the seeds had begun evolving the monsters toward Grandmaster level. Alex continued searching for his classmates while hunting high-level monsters. Then a vile aura entered his mental range. He followed it and found a student named Marcus Hutchin, but Marcus was no longer human. Name Marcus Hutchin, Demonoid. Talent Water Spear, A. Rank Martial Warrior 9. Before Alex could understand how Marcus had become a demonoid without anyone noticing, 5 water spears shot toward him at extreme speed. Alex immediately activated Existential Nullity. A powerful sense of danger surged through him, and the demonoid instantly lost all its strength. Alex had barely dealt with that threat when 67 massive auras entered his mental domain. They were moving toward him at supersonic speed, and every one of them was stronger than Alex himself. At the same time, 50 demonoids emerged and began creating chaos among the students. Alex understood the situation immediately. These were not random berserk monsters. Someone had deliberately turned them into temporary high-level beast grandmasters and sent them after him. His mind sharpened under the pressure. If all 67 monsters entered the area and attacked together, surviving would be extremely difficult. The attack could have been arranged by a saint or possibly even an emperor. He tried to retreat, but a barrier had already sealed the region. Alex could not break through it. Then he saw the nearest monster's status. Name Tiger Mastiff Berserk. Talent none. Rank High-Level Beast Grandmaster Temporary. That was enough to confirm the assassination attempt. The attackers avoided every Emperor heir because those heirs possessed artifacts capable of summoning their ancestors during a crisis. The plan was to target Alex directly, while the demonoids caused panic and disrupted communication throughout the test area. At the base camp, an instructor finally reached the vice president and reported the emergency. Arthur's furious voice came through the connection, demanding to know why he had not been informed sooner. Then Arthur vanished and raced toward Sector 7 at 10,000 meters per second. Inside the barrier, Alex faced the entire swarm. Instead of retreating, excitement rose through his body. Let's go all out. Inside the barrier, Alex stood calmly before 67 high-level beast grandmasters. Originally, these creatures had only been ordinary beast warriors. Even reaching the beast master realm was considered rare for their species. Yet now, every one of them had been forcibly raised to the grandmaster level. Their auras revealed the problem. Their energy fluctuated violently, chaotic and unstable, as though their bodies could burst apart at any moment. Alex slowly closed his eyes. He had no reason to panic. His armor could withstand a direct strike from a saint, so these monsters would need time to break through his defenses, even after reaching their current level. Alex had no intention of giving them that time. He tightened his grip on the sword and activated sword intent. His combat power surged to nearly 12,000 tons of strength, bringing him close to Grandmaster level 5. Even so, he understood that fighting all 67 head-on would be dangerous. These were not ordinary level 9 Grandmasters. Their forced evolution had clearly made them far stronger than normal creatures of the same realm. Alex simply said, "Come on." A deafening sonic boom erupted as he shot forward. At the same moment, his 10 flying knives disappeared and existential nullity activated. All talents were sealed. Against that ability, only pure physical strength remained. Then Alex activated 1,000 times gravity and went all out. The result was immediate. Every beast grandmaster was smashed into the ground as if an invisible divine hammer had struck them. Even at the grandmaster realm, their bodies could not withstand 1,000 times gravity. All 67 were pinned completely. They could not move, roar, struggle, or even breathe properly. Alex had expected them to endure the pressure for at least a short while. Instead, they collapsed instantly, leaving him disappointed. He advanced and began executing them. One by one, he chopped off their heads while the 10 flying knives moved through the swarm like silent executioners, killing 10 monsters at a time. Less than 3 minutes later, all 67 beast grandmasters were dead. The barrier still remained around the area. Alex asked the AI whether it could contact the outside, but it reported that communication was completely jammed. The jammer prevented the AI from reaching anyone beyond the barrier. Alex sat down on his floating silver surfing board and noted that this weakness could become deadly in another situation. He would need to acquire a more powerful AI so he would not be cut off from outside support again. He then collected the monster's cores. Because they had been forcibly evolved, the cores were still immature, making them a waste compared with naturally developed ones. Monster cores powered nearly every energy source in human civilization. Since the light domain prohibited technology that harmed nature, humanity depended on leaving its protection to hunt monsters. Their meat, bones, and skin were also valuable resources. After gathering everything, Alex closed his eyes and attempted to extend his mental domain beyond the barrier. Outside, the students were in complete panic. More than 50 demonoids attacked from multiple directions, pressing the group from all sides. Fortunately, the students had been hunting relatively close to one another. That formation was the only reason they were still holding on. Then Anna suddenly roared, ordering everyone to clear 100-meter space around her. The students did not understand what she planned, but they were already being overwhelmed, so they immediately retreated. 10 demonoids charged toward Anna at terrifying speed. She simply stared at them and muttered, "Die." Her talent activated. A boom echoed across the battlefield as 100 times gravity slammed down on the monsters. All 10 demonoids were crushed instantly, their bodies collapsing into pools of meat paste. Anna's talent could theoretically manipulate up to 1,000 times gravity. However, at her current level, 100 times was her absolute safe limit. Any higher, and her own body would also be reduced to meat paste. Even with that restriction, the students were completely stunned. They could not understand how the monsters had been destroyed so quickly. As the shock turned into excitement, their admiration for the heir of the Celestis family became almost fanatical. Selena and Ray dealt with their own demonoids as well, although Ray struggled far more than the others. Aaron, meanwhile, hid within the shadows and continued hunting. He had no intention of wasting this opportunity while everyone else was distracted. Moving through the chaos, he kept eliminating monsters and accumulating points, hoping to surpass the others. Once the demonoids were dealt with, Anna immediately ran toward Alex. She feared that he had gone ahead alone and might now be surrounded. Ignoring the students calling after her, she kept moving until Alex's barrier came into view. Arnold finally reached the barrier and found a massive dome-shaped structure blocking his path. He immediately understood that Alex was inside, but just as Arnold prepared to attack the barrier, a gigantic ape descended from the sky and landed in front of him. The ape declared that Arnold's opponent was right there and claimed Alex would not leave alive. According to the monster, 67 Berserk Beast Grandmasters were already tearing Alex apart, leaving behind nothing but scraps. Arnold roared at it to move and launched an attack. The ape simply clenched its fist and punched. Arnold barely raised his defenses before the blow struck him. The force sent him flying like a ragdoll, and terror filled him when he realized the ape's strength was comparable to an early Emperor-level beast. The ape mocked humanity as weak and claimed humans should have gone extinct long ago. It said the light domain was the only thing protecting them, but that protection would not last much longer. Despite its enormous body, the ape vanished and reappeared beside Arnold, striking again. Blood burst from Arnold's eyes, nose, and mouth as he barely dodged. The missed punch slammed into the ground and created a cataclysmic tremor that spread across hundreds of kilometers. If a country had stood in that area, the impact would have reduced it to ruins. The ape continued attacking in a frenzy while similar battles unfolded across the battlefield. Every instructor was being overwhelmed. These monsters were far stronger than ordinary saint-level beasts, and the tremors knocked students to the ground. With all communication cut off, the students realized that something had gone terribly wrong. The instructors should have rescued them already, but no one came. Just as despair threatened to consume the battlefield, a ray of light descended from above. One quiet snort echoed through the destruction, and hundreds of kilometers instantly fell completely still. The 20 saint-level monsters froze. Brilliant radiance flooded the battlefield, clearing away the dark miasma and restoring the area to bright daylight. A man stood in the air with his hands clasped behind his back, his long coat moving gently in the wind. He looked down at the monsters and took one step forward. All 20 saint-level beasts disintegrated into cosmic particles. The instructors and students fell to their knees, recognizing Vice President Arthur. Arthur then looked toward the barrier and hoped Alex was still alive. With a single glance, he erased the barrier. Inside, Arnold and Arthur expected to find Alex's broken corpse. Instead, Alex was calmly meditating on his flying surfboard, completely untouched, surrounded by the mangled remains of 67 unstable beast grandmasters. Arthur's crushing worry vanished, and he burst into relieved laughter. Anna arrived at the devastated site after running nearly 40 kilometers. As a level 5 martial warrior, forcing her body that far so quickly, immediately after using her talent, had left her barely able to breathe. Her chest heaved as she looked across the battlefield. The first thing she saw was the piles of dead monsters. Even in death, their corpses released terrifying auras. For one horrible moment, Anna believed the beasts had killed Alex and that Arthur had destroyed them afterward in revenge. Then she looked up and saw Alex sitting calmly in midair, meditating on his flying surfboard. The darkness in her heart disappeared at once. Relief spread across her face and she smiled. Alex opened his eyes when he noticed Arnold, Arthur, and Anna watching him. He greeted them politely, then immediately asked Anna whether she was hurt. He wanted to go to them, but the barrier still prevented him from leaving the area. Anna reassured him that she was fine and asked about his condition. Alex answered as though nothing unusual had happened. He said he had enjoyed fighting the beasts, but they had not lasted long enough. Then he called the Berserk beasts disappointing. Arnold's expression twitched. They had been terrified while Alex casually fought more than 50 high-level beast grandmasters, yet Alex was complaining that the battle ended too quickly. Arnold asked Arthur to make the arrogant brat stop bragging. Arthur laughed, then formally ended the test. He ordered Arnold to call back all remaining participants and announced that everyone would receive an additional 5,000 credits for the unused time and for the organizers' failure to protect them properly. Soon afterward, the 20 saints gathered at the site. William appeared in front of Alex and anxiously checked whether he had suffered any injuries. Once Alex confirmed he was unharmed, William finally relaxed. He then warned Arthur that the monsters had been far stronger than normal and that the entire incident required an investigation. Arthur agreed coldly, saying the people responsible would not live much longer. One saint, however, was silently falling apart. He had gambled everything on Alex's death and could not understand how the young man was still standing without a scratch. He suspected Arthur had secretly supplied Alex with S-rank artifacts, because he could not accept that a recently awakened martial warrior had defeated beast grandmasters through his own strength. While the saints gathered, Alex used the Eye of Revelation to inspect them for talents worth copying. The ability revealed more than ordinary information. Timothy Garian possessed S-rank Earth Manipulation and was Saint level 7. Jake Paul had A-rank Berserk and was Saint level 3. Then Alex scanned Harold James. Harold possessed SS rank Fire Manipulation and appeared to be Saint level 4. But the Eye of Revelation exposed his concealed truth. His actual strength was Saint level 9, and his status showed that he had colluded with the Monster Association. Alex had expected to find useful talents. Instead, the Eye revealed a traitor hiding among the saints. That discovery immediately made Harold the most important person in the group. Alex's eyes widened slightly. The Eye of Revelation had exposed truths that an ordinary appraisal talent could never detect. Since this was the Eye of Revelation rather than a simple Eye of Appraisal, Alex realized he needed to experiment with it more. But first, there was an opportunity he could not waste. He immediately approached Harold. Harold watched him suspiciously, wondering whether Alex had discovered his connection to the Monster Association. However, he quickly dismissed that possibility. As far as Harold knew, there was no way Alex could have uncovered the truth. Alex then smiled warmly and asked to shake Harold's hand, claiming that he was a fan of Harold's fire talent and had seen him use it online. In reality, Alex had never watched Harold online and barely used the internet after transmigrating. Harold privately sneered at the situation. He intended to kill Alex someday, yet Alex was calling himself a fan. Even so, Harold concealed his hostility, returned the smile, and accepted the handshake. The moment their hands touched, Alex received the notification he was waiting for. The system detected Harold's SS rank Fire Manipulation and asked whether Alex wanted to copy it. Alex agreed, and the talent transferred instantly. He released Harold's hand before asking Arnold whether the test was over. Arnold confirmed that the instructors had been contacted and that the students would leave soon. Alex then asked how many credits he would receive for killing 67 Beast Grandmasters. Normally, a 5th-year Grandmaster student received 1,500 credits for each high-level Beast Grandmaster. However, Arnold awarded Alex 2,000 credits per Beast Grandmaster. The reward brought Alex's total to 170,000 hunt credits, and his wristband still showed him at rank 1. Arthur then added a bonus of 30,000 credits and rounded off the reward. Alex accepted it eagerly, earning more credits from one recruitment test than many 5th-year students could earn in an entire year. After the remaining students arrived, the group left the wilderness by aircraft and returned to campus. Arnold announced that only the top 500 students would remain in the dormitories. Everyone else would be transported home. Alex was still ranked first, while Aaron, despite having more than 10,000 credits, remained in second place. Students with SS rank talents or higher received private rooms, while S rank students shared rooms and the rest were assigned 4 to a room. Alex chose not to stay on campus because Elizabeth would be worried. He returned to the hotel instead. Elizabeth rushed to him and tightly hugged him, having already heard what happened. Alex reassured her that he was unharmed and strong enough to handle himself. Once she was satisfied, she told him to rest and arranged for food to be sent after he showered. Alex then contacted Arthur and secretly reported that Harold had colluded with the people behind the attack. The other side went silent after Alex reported that Saint Harold had colluded with the attackers. Alex said nothing more, allowing the accusation to sink in. Arthur was the first to speak. After taking a deep breath, he asked whether Alex was certain. Alex confirmed that he was 100% sure. Arthur believed him without demanding further proof. Instead, he asked whether Alex wanted a reward for providing the information. Alex rejected the idea with a faint smile, explaining that he was human too and would not take money for saving his own kind. However, the conversation reminded Alex of something he needed. His system allowed him to cultivate for 24 hours a day, but that only worked efficiently if enough cosmic energy was available around him. Whenever he started cultivating, the surrounding energy could quickly become thin. A cultivation device in his home would help there, but Alex would not always be at home. What he needed was a portable device that could remain attached to his body, continuously gather cosmic energy, and function without interfering with his daily life or combat. Arthur admitted that the Alliance did not currently possess such a device. He pointed out that the Academy had cultivation rooms with a constant energy supply, and that he had also installed a super energy-gathering artifact in Alex's new villa. But Alex insisted that portability was the entire point. After thinking it over, Arthur told him to visit the Alliance Hall the next day and explain his requirements directly to the engineers. Alex agreed and ended the call. He then took a 30-minute hot shower before eating the food Elizabeth had sent to his room. The day's battle had left him completely exhausted, so he went asleep. The next morning, Alex flew toward the Alliance Hall on his silver surfing board. During the trip, he organized his next priorities. He needed to study monsters thoroughly, from the lowest grades up to the Emperor level, especially their elemental abilities. Copying random elements without understanding their strengths would not guarantee useful results. If he could collect 3 SS-grade talents of the same element from monsters and humans, they could merge into an SSS-grade talent. Repeating that process might eventually let him obtain abilities beyond the SSS tier. He also needed information about human talents and wanted to find out whether there was any way to break through the limitation of his Spirit Master ability. Its current cap of 10 was beginning to bother him. When Alex reached the Alliance Hall, he descended in front of the building. Martial artist teams constantly entered and left the facility, making it one of the Alliance's major hubs. Several people recognized Alex, but nobody approached him. To them, he was more like a famous figure to admire from a distance. Tenzin was waiting inside. He told Alex that His Majesty had already informed the engineering team, and the engineers were ready for him. Tenzin had heard that Alex alone had slaughtered 67 Berserk high-grade beast grandmasters. His rate of growth was frightening, and Tenzin believed Alex might soon surpass him. Yet he felt no jealousy. He knew humanity did not have much time before an apocalypse or an all-consuming war arrived, so every powerful warrior mattered. Alex could become one of humanity's greatest hopes. Tenzin led him to the laboratory on the 20th floor. Dozens of engineers were already waiting there, and they bowed together when Alex arrived. A young man in an apron stepped forward and introduced himself as Morgan Stanley, the Alliance's chief of technology. Alex used the Eye of Revelation and immediately discovered that Morgan possessed the SS-grade Tech Master talent. That talent allowed Morgan to create any technology as long as he had a blueprint. More impressively, he could design blueprints from pure ideas, making the ability exceptionally powerful. Alex explained that he wanted a miniature energy-gathering artifact. It needed to be as powerful as the larger version, or even stronger, while remaining small enough that it would not disrupt his everyday activities or fighting. Morgan said the request was manageable. The upgraded Omniweave could also use cosmic crystals to increase Alex's cultivation speed by up to tenfold. However, they needed to keep his current Omniweave for at least 10 days. In the meantime, Morgan would provide a temporary replacement. Alex also asked whether the Omniweave's AI could be upgraded after it had failed to communicate during the previous attack. Morgan explained that Alex already had the best version available. The Alliance was developing a next-generation AI, but it would not be ready for 6 months. The earlier failure had been caused by a Saint-level communication jammer. After thanking the engineers, Alex returned home and logged into the Aurora Martial Institution's intranet. Only Academy students could access its technique database. In the sword technique section, he found several choices. Annihilation, an SSS-grade technique, cost 100 million credits. Void Slash and Absolute Sever were SS-grade techniques priced at 10 million each. Abyss Break and Execution were S-grade techniques costing 1 million each. Then Alex noticed Blink. It was an A-grade technique priced at exactly 100,000 credits. Alex wanted to buy everything on the list, but he did not yet have enough credits. For now, Blink was the practical choice. The technique had 5 levels. Level 1 doubled slashing speed, while the later levels increased it to 3, 4, 5, and finally 7 times his base hand speed. At maximum mastery, Blink could be used all the way to the Emperor realm. The effect was far more valuable than its rank suggested. Even an enemy with similar movement speed might be killed before realizing that Alex had attacked. Alex purchased Blink for 100,000 credits and prepared to begin mastering it. Alex pressed the purchase option for Dash. His student account contained 200,000 credits, so 100,000 were deducted immediately. The technique would arrive in 2 hours. While waiting, Alex asked his AI to gather information on elemental monsters from grade 0 all the way to the Emperor level, prioritizing their locations and talents. The AI processed the request and produced a massive file containing photos, detailed data, and links to combat videos. Alex began reading. Because of his powerful brain, he could memorize each page after only a glance. In 2 hours, he had reviewed information on more than 5,000 monster species, yet he had only reached monsters around the Beast Master level. Humanity had discovered more than 100 million monster species during the 500-year apocalypse. Alex's search was limited to creatures with elemental abilities, but that still left over 500,000 species to study. Before he could continue, a notification announced that his Dash package had arrived. He asked the delivery person to bring it directly to his room. A short while later, a martial grandmaster delivered the parcel. Inside was a book written by the Sword Emperor Tianjian, the Alliance's third strongest emperor. Tianjian had created several sword techniques, including an S-rank technique considered his greatest work. Dash worked by using energy to stimulate the nervous system, reducing the time required for movement. Each level increased the intensity of that stimulation. Tianjian had personally pushed the technique to 7 times its normal effect, but because he had created it while he was still a saint, it could only be used effectively up to the Emperor level. That limitation was why Dash was classified as an A-rank technique rather than S-rank. Alex entered his private training room and prepared to practice. Before he could begin, William appeared and asked what he was working on. When Alex told him it was Dash, William revealed that he also used the technique and offered to demonstrate it. William drew his sword. Alex heard the air being cut, but he saw no movement at all. William had activated Dash at level 5, and with Saint-level speed, the attack was completely beyond Alex's perception. Alex ordered his AI to replay the demonstration in slow motion. Only then could he see the entire sequence. William drew his sword, completed a perfect slash, and returned it to the scabbard almost instantly. The technique itself looked simple. Its true difficulty was using energy to accelerate the nervous system without damaging the body. According to the method, energy had to help neurotransmitters travel faster from one neural junction to the next. Alex memorized the technique, adjusted his stance, and tried it once. His Eternal Sword talent activated immediately. The entire A-rank technique became clear to him in an instant. When he swung his sword, he reached level 3 on his first attempt, producing 4 times his normal slashing speed. William's eyes widened. He could clearly see the attack, but the speed was already comparable to that of a high-level grandmaster. Alex, however, was disappointed. Only level 3. William's composure broke. Reaching level 3 on the first attempt was already absurd, especially because it had taken him 6 months to achieve the same result. The technique required extremely delicate control, and careless practice could injure the user. Alex simply scratched his head and continued training. 2 hours later, he had mastered level 5. Dash now granted him 7 times his normal slashing speed, but Alex still considered that insufficient. His mind was already generating ways to improve the technique further. One idea stood out: using space manipulation on his neurotransmitters. If he could teleport each neurotransmitter directly from one junction to the next, he might remove the travel time entirely. The result could be far faster than ordinary Dash. However, the idea had a serious flaw. To control it, Alex would need to observe every active neurotransmitter in his body. More importantly, his current body was not strong enough to survive the extreme speed. He first needed to improve his reflexes and physical strength. Alex could not predict how fast he would become if the experiment succeeded, but attempting it now would be too dangerous. At minimum, he believed he needed to reach the Martial King realm before trying. While Alex calculated the possibilities, William stared at him in disbelief. "You mastered level 5. Alex confirmed that he had. He then mentioned that he lacked enough credits to purchase higher-grade techniques and asked William whether he knew any spirit masters who could guide him. William explained that the best spirit master on Earth was Emperor Elindros Celestis, the ancestor of the Celestis family. Elindros was not impossible to find, but obtaining his guidance would require a recommendation from the vice president. Alex immediately became interested. He wanted guidance from the strongest available expert, but he also knew Anna belonged to the Celestis family. Before approaching Elindros, he decided to ask her about the ancestor's temperament. After leaving the training room, Alex contacted Anna. She was staying at her family's hotel and had just finished bathing when her communicator rang. She normally ignored direct calls from anyone outside her family since other people had to contact her through her maid, but when she saw Alex's name, she answered at once. Alex apologized in case he had disturbed her and asked whether she could meet him that afternoon. Anna quickly assured him that she was free. He suggested returning to the coffee shop they had visited before. Anna agreed and asked when they should meet. Alex gave her a specific time, 4 p.m. The moment the call ended, Anna released a piercing scream that echoed through her room. Sophia! The door flew open and Sophia rushed in with one hand already reaching for a concealed weapon. She expected an assassin or some other emergency. Instead, she found Anna clutching her cheeks and squirming on the bed, her usually pale face flushed a deep crimson. Sophia's alarm disappeared, replaced by immediate disdain. Is it Alex? She asked. Anna stared at her. How did you know? Sophia crossed her arms and leaned against the doorframe. Anna had always worn a veil over her face and Alex had never actually seen her uncovered. Even during their previous time at the coffee shop, the heavy lace had hidden her features. Their wilderness training had been no different since everyone had been sealed inside full-body combat suits. Anna suddenly realized that all her preparation had missed the most important detail. She had been worrying about her dress and appearance while remaining covered from the neck up. What do I do? She asked, her voice rising. Should I show him my face or should I stay veiled? Sophia told her that the choice was hers, though she recommended choosing a dress that did not make her look like a mourning widow. Then she headed toward the walk-in closet to help prepare Anna for the meeting. While Anna dealt with that crisis, Alex returned to his research file. Then he remembered the bet he had won against Aaron during their recent confrontation. The reward had been an SS-grade body cultivation technique, and the written contract gave Alex the right to demand it. He called Aaron directly. Aaron answered on the third ring, sounding guarded even though Alex's identity was obvious from the caller ID. Alex introduced himself as Aaron's primary debtor and demanded that the promised technique be sent immediately. Otherwise, he would take their written contract to the vice president. Aaron tried to act defiant, insisting that he was not afraid of Alex, but his shaking voice suggested otherwise. The contract had trapped him completely. He refused to hand over the technique before the semester officially started and told Alex he would receive it only after the semester began. Then Aaron abruptly ended the call. With no way to escape the agreement, he picked up his father's private line, already dreading the conversation ahead. At 3:30, Alex chose a simple outfit, a fitted black t-shirt that showed his lean, athletic build and crisp white trousers. Instead of using his spirit master abilities to fly across the city, he summoned his family's luxury sedan. Anna had reached the coffee shop 30 minutes earlier and was already trembling as she adjusted her skirt. By the time Alex entered, the shop was strangely silent and completely empty of customers. No male employees were present either. Only several female waitresses stood near the walls. In the center of the room sat Anna. For the first time, she was not wearing her veil. Her sophisticated black dress contrasted with her radiant, almost luminous skin. Alex stopped for a moment, visibly struck by her appearance. He understood why she had hidden her face. If the public saw her beauty without any barrier, her appearance could cause chaos wherever she went. Alex approached and pulled out the chair across from her. He apologized for making her wait. Anna jumped slightly, then gave him a shy smile and claimed she had only just arrived, even though she had been waiting for half an hour. Alex immediately complimented her, calling her breathtaking and asking whether her appearance came from her mother's side or her father's. He leaned across the table and studied her features from close range. Anna's face grew hotter and her mind nearly shut down from the sudden proximity. Sophia noticed her mistress was close to collapsing and appeared in a professional waitress uniform, interrupting before Anna could faint into her coffee. Alex leaned back and ordered 2 premium coffees. Once they had a little space between them, he explained that he wanted to ask about Anna's family ancestor, Sir Alindros, regarded as the strongest spirit master on Earth. Alex wanted to know whether Alindros would be willing to give him personal guidance. Anna did not even blink. Anna immediately agreed to arrange lessons with her great-grandfather, Sir Alindros. She even promised to bring in the other spirit masters living in the Celestis main house, including her cousin, and have all of them teach Alex personally. Sophia could only stare. Anna was practically the final boss of the Celestis clan. Because the ancestor spoiled her excessively, her word carried absolute authority. She had just volunteered the strongest man in the world as Alex's tutor without asking him first. Still, Sophia understood why Anna was so confident. The tower had already classified Alex as the highest class genius in the known universe, and nobody truly knew the limits of his talent. Alex was surprised by how easily she had made the offer. He asked whether she was certain and pointed out that he had been prepared to obtain a formal recommendation letter from the vice president. Anna dismissed the concern with a wave. "I am the recommendation letter." Since Alex was serious, he agreed to leave immediately. His classes would begin in 2 days, so he wanted to return before then. Anna ordered Sophia to prepare their private airship at once. A dark King-class airship soon lifted off from Aurora City. Before leaving, Alex sent his mother a short message explaining that he would be staying with the Celestis family as an official guest for the weekend. William quickly informed Arthur about the departure. Arthur grumbled that Alex had gone straight to the most powerful estate in the region with his little girlfriend without even calling him. Despite the complaint, he immediately gave an order to his shadow guards. "Dispatch 3 Emperors to follow the ship." The airship eventually landed on a private pad at the Celestis Mountain Retreat. 2 long lines of maids and elite servants waited in perfect formation. They welcomed Anna first, then greeted Alex as Master Moriarty and wished the pair a long and happy life together. Anna's face turned bright red. She knew someone had clearly coached the servants, but she was too embarrassed to scold them. Alex simply gave everyone a dignified nod and thanked them, pretending he had not heard the second part. That response secretly disappointed Anna, even as it relieved her. She began to explain that she would find her father and ask where great-grandpa was. Before she could finish, an overwhelming force crashed down from above. The pressure was more than physical gravity. It crushed the soul itself, turning the air heavy and unbearable. The reinforced stone beneath Alex's feet cracked apart. He remained standing, but his knees buckled and blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. Anna dropped to her knees under the same pressure and desperately begged her great-grandfather to stop. She even offered to be punished in Alex's place, unable to understand why he would attack a guest without warning. Then the pressure vanished. Alex drew a ragged breath as the pain receded. His organs felt as if they had been shaken loose, and his bones seemed moments away from being crushed into powder. A dark-haired middle-aged man descended from the clouds without ever touching the ground. Every servant and guard immediately knelt before him. This was Elindros Celestis, a level 9 emperor with an SS-grade telekinesis talent. Alex's Eye of Revelation showed that Elindros was currently comparable to the Alliance president in raw combat power and could precisely control 25 objects of any mass at the same time. Elindros explained that he had only been testing the weight of Alex's soul. Alex had survived, but barely. After introducing himself, Alex bowed respectfully. Elindros then revealed that Arthur had already contacted him about the request for guidance. But instead of accepting, the legendary emperor demanded to know why he should waste his time on Alex and what he would gain from teaching him. Alex met his gaze. His respectful expression shifted into open confidence. He declared that Elindros should guide him so that, when Alex inevitably became the strongest existence on Earth, Elindros could claim he had pointed him toward the summit. In Alex's view, nothing could offer a man of Elindros' stature greater prestige than becoming the teacher of a future mythical being. Now Elindros had heard the claim. The next question was whether Alex could prove it. For a moment, the entire courtyard went silent after Alex's declaration. The servants and disciples seemed to hold their breath, waiting for Elindros to react. Instead, the old emperor threw his head back and laughed so loudly that the windows of the estate rattled. He liked Alex's confidence, but he still wanted proof that the boy had more than impressive words. Before Elindros would waste time guiding him, Alex would have to fight someone at his own level. When Alex asked who his opponent would be, Elindros named Darian Celestis, Anna's cousin. Darian was a grandmaster, a third-year student at the Zenith Martial Academy, and an accomplished spirit master. Elindros had heard about Alex's achievements in the wilderness, including his battles against powerful beasts, but beasts were not the same as human opponents. This time he wanted to see how Alex handled a real martial grandmaster who could think, adapt, and use sophisticated techniques. Alex paused to calculate the risk, then agreed under one condition. The fight had to take place in a secluded location. Only Elindros, Anna, and perhaps 2 or 3 completely trusted people would be allowed to watch. Alex's specific abilities could not become public knowledge. With the Monster Association still seeking his head, Alex understood that secrecy was one of his greatest advantages. The less his enemies knew about his talents, the harder it would be for them to prepare a countermeasure. Elindros was surprised by the maturity of the request, but he accepted. He was also eager to discover the exact nature of the talent possessed by the highest-ranked genius in the universe. With the conditions settled, he asked if Alex was ready to begin. Before Alindros could say more, a handsome young man stepped out from among the inner disciples. He moved with the feline grace of someone who had trained in high-level martial arts for years. The newcomer introduced himself as Darian and said he had been looking forward to fighting the man connected to Anna. He did not get to finish the sentence. Anna's hand blurred and a throwing knife shot straight toward Darian's forehead. The blade stopped only an inch from his skin, frozen in place by a telekinetic flick. Darian did not even blink. Instead, he laughed and treated the near-death attack as proof of how much his younger cousin loved him. He then warned Alex that he had better be worthy, or Anna would never forgive him for losing. Alex kept his expression neutral, though the exchange made him suspect that Darian had an unusually intense attachment to his sister. More importantly, Alex activated the Eye of Revelation and examined his opponent. The information revealed that Darian possessed an SS-grade illusion talent and had reached Grandmaster level 7. His illusions could become so vivid that they were indistinguishable from reality. In the middle of a battle, separating truth from falsehood would be nearly impossible. That made Darian's talent extremely versatile and dangerous. Alex was slightly disappointed that it was not an elemental ability he could easily copy and master, but he still greeted Darian respectfully and asked him to go easy on a newcomer. The playful look immediately disappeared from Darian's face. His expression sharpened like a hunter preparing to attack. 5 other students stood behind him, all wearing the gold and black uniforms of the Zenith Martial Academy. They had apparently traveled with Darian to witness his return home. One of them, a girl named Emily, stared at Alex and quietly remarked that he might be the most handsome man alive, even more striking than Darian, but she was far more concerned about the match. Alex had only awakened a few days earlier, while Darian was known as a terrifying fighter, the demon among demons. She wondered whether Alex was truly ready. The male student beside her laughed at her lack of information. He reminded her that Alex had recently killed 67 berserk, high-grade Grandmaster-level beasts by himself. Because of that feat, every major martial academy on the planet was already preparing to compete for him. Alex was not merely a genius, he was considered a menace. Emily then asked what Alex's talent was, but the student admitted that nobody knew. The Martial Alliance had sealed Alex's file so thoroughly that even hidden families were being warned not to investigate. The Alliance's vice president had reportedly told them that continuing to probe Alex's background would be treated as a declaration of war. That only made the students more eager to see the fight. Unfortunately for them, Alex's demand for privacy meant that the battle would remain closed to ordinary observers. At that moment, Alex's communicator rang. The caller was Arthur, the vice president of the Martial Alliance. Arthur had apparently been tracking Alex's movements and wanted to know whether Alex intended to reveal his true talent during the battle. Alex answered that Darian looked powerful enough to force him to use everything he had. Arthur immediately asked whether he could come and watch. Alex gave him permission, and Arthur ended the call without wasting another second. Alindros had heard the conversation despite the distance. He mocked Arthur for being unable to control his curiosity, but the vice president arrived less than 30 seconds later. A tremendous spiritual pressure descended over the Celestis estate. The 3 Emperor-level guards who had been monitoring Alex from the shadows immediately appeared and bowed toward the sky. Arthur then descended like a meteor, landing silently in the center of the courtyard. Everyone except Alindros and Alex dropped to their knees and welcomed the vice president. Alindros, however, pretended to be offended that Arthur had entered his home without permission. Arthur answered that if the Celestis family did not possess a facility secure enough to contain the battle's information, they could simply move the fight to Alliance headquarters. Alindros refused to argue further. He turned and began leading everyone toward the private training grounds. Before they could leave, another figure appeared. Max Celestis, Anna's grandfather, asked why they were planning to have all the fun without him. Alindros scolded him for acting childish, and Max immediately lowered his head and apologized, calling Alindros father. Alex focused on Max, and the Eye of Revelation updated at once. Max possessed an SS-grade light manipulation talent and had reached Emperor level 8. He could manipulate photons for healing and combat. More importantly, his talent included luminous acceleration, which allowed him to increase his movement speed 5 times unconditionally. That ability immediately caught Alex's attention. If the information was accurate, it was exactly the kind of advantage he wanted. Alex concealed his real objective behind a polite smile and asked Max whether he could shake his hand. He gave no explanation for the request, keeping the reason hidden from everyone around him. Max looked surprised, but he agreed and reached out. The moment their hands met, the system detected the SS-grade light manipulation talent and asked Alex whether he wanted to copy it. Alex accepted. As soon as he released Max's hand, new information surged into his soul and integrated into his abilities. He had successfully copied light manipulation, but the others still had no idea why he had suddenly asked for the handshake. Alindros noticed that Alex had approached Max but had not asked him for the same courtesy. He angrily accused Alex of seeking Max's approval because of Anna, then declared that nobody would take Anna anywhere until he personally approved of them. Alex denied it. He claimed that Max carried a warm, righteous aura, while Alindros had attacked him the moment he stepped off the airship. Naturally, Alex said he would not dare ask Alindros for a handshake. Max proudly smirked at his son's embarrassment. Alindros responded by releasing a concentrated burst of spiritual pressure that slammed Max onto the ground and pinned him there. Then Alindros changed the terms of the test. Alex would no longer receive even a single word of guidance unless he soundly defeated Darian. He also ordered Darian to pummel Alex until he was satisfied, threatening to keep Darian away from home for a year if he failed. Darian quietly complained that Alindros was taking his anger out on him, but he did not dare argue. The family entered a private training sanctum built for the Emperor's heavy-duty combat. It was essentially a reinforced bunker, with multi-layered runic arrays covering the walls and soul-suppressing lled preventing shockwaves from escaping into the estate. Ordinary people and lower-ranking family members were never allowed inside this restricted hall. Alindros assured them that the barriers could withstand anything they unleashed. Alex and Darian moved to the center of the arena while Anna remained near the entrance, gripping her hands so tightly that her knuckles turned white. She knew exactly what Darian's reputation meant. At Zenith Martial Academy, he was called the Demon King because he did not merely defeat opponents. He dismantled them. For more than a year, no human or monster had survived against him for even 60 seconds, and even the Academy's SSS-rank talent holder was considered inferior to Darian's combat instincts. Before the fight began, Alex asked Arthur for flying knives. Arthur's specialized wristband was still in the research lab, and the 3 knives he had available would not be enough. When Darian asked how many blades Alex could control at once, Alex answered that his limit was 10. That answer subtly irritated Darian. He had become Zenith's most celebrated spirit master because he could control 7 knives simultaneously, a feat he had only achieved after reaching level 7 Grandmaster. Before that, his limit had been 5. Alex, meanwhile, sounded dissatisfied with 10 because he was comparing himself to Alindros, who could control 25 with ease. Darian warned Alex that injuries were possible, then released his power. A single knife slid beneath his boots and lifted him into the air, leaving him hovering with his hands calmly folded behind his back. Alindros immediately recognized that Darian was taking the fight seriously from the opening second. To give Alex a chance, Alindros took 10 silver knives from his storage ring and threw them across the arena. He explained that they were the blades he had used at the Saint level, and that they were sharper and more durable than ordinary Saint-class artifacts. If Alex won, he could keep them. The 10 knives instantly formed a rotating shield around Alex. His expression hardened and the first blade launched toward him at the speed of sound. It was only a probe, but Alex still had to parry it with one of his own knives. The collision rang through the bunker with the force of a hammer striking metal. Using the Eye of Revelation, Alex assessed Darian's combat data. Darian possessed 25,000 tons of strength and defense, a speed of 1,000 meters per second, and 1,000 tons of spirit. His physical attributes already exceeded the usual 20,000-ton ceiling of a standard level 9 Grandmaster, and he still had not activated his primary talent. Then the remaining 6 knives attacked together. Although Alex had 10 blades against Darian's 7, Darian's control was heavier and more precise. The pressure drove Alex backward, carving grooves into the reinforced floor and forcing blood from the corner of his mouth. Darian told him to give up, acknowledging that Alex was a genius but had not had enough time to grow. Alex wiped away the blood and calculated his response. His existential nullity could not directly interfere with Darian's spirit master manipulation, which relied on mental force. So Alex changed tactics and activated 200 times gravity. The arena seemed to solidify. The increased gravity would not kill someone as physically powerful as Darian, but it forced him to spend roughly 90% of his energy simply staying upright. Darian was slammed into the floor and the knife supporting him snapped under the sudden weight. Both Arthur and Alindros immediately recognized the ability and exclaimed, "Gravity manipulation." But Alex was not finished. He flicked his fingers like a puppeteer and his 10 flying knives vanished from the arena. A moment later, they reappeared from Darian's blind spots and slammed into him from different directions. Darian's high-tier Saint-level battle suit protected his vital areas so the blades could not pierce through. However, the force behind every impact struck him like a cannonball. Alex continued the barrage without giving him time to recover. Darian struggled back to his feet and roared as he poured spirit energy into creating counterpressure around himself. He was forced to fight against the air itself, while the knives kept blinking in and out of existence. His offensive precision rapidly collapsed because he could not predict where the next attack would appear. That combination finally exposed two of Alex's most dangerous abilities. Arthur and Alindros recognized the spatial manipulation, while Max understood what it meant. Alex had not only revealed gravity and space manipulation, but he had done so in front of people he trusted. To everyone else, those powers had remained hidden. With Spirit Master abilities added to the mix, the combination was almost impossible to defend against. Max realized that Darian had been pushed into using the power that had earned him the title of Demon King. Darian released his illusion talent. The sterile training room instantly dissolved. Its walls melted into a jagged, blood-red wilderness and Darian disappeared from Alex's sight. Without a visual or spiritual lock on his opponent, Alex's gravity field became useless. He could only strike at empty shadows. Three enormous, obsidian-skinned monsters emerged from the red mist and charged. Alex recognized that they were illusions, but that did not make them harmless. One of the ape-like creatures punched him directly in the chest, and the impact felt completely real. His ribs groaned as the blow sent him flying across the false wilderness. Darian's illusion did more than create images. It affected the target's neural pathways, causing the brain to accept the damage as real and forcing the body to react accordingly. At the same time, Darian's 7 knives reappeared from the mist and hunted Alex through the chaos. Alex was struck, tumbled across the ground, and desperately parried the incoming blades. Yet instead of panicking, he began to laugh. He praised Darian's attack and announced that it was time to finish the fight. Then Alex snapped his fingers. The entire wilderness shattered like glass. The red sky, monsters, and mist crumbled away, revealing the gray training room. Darian stood in the corner with pure horror in his eyes. He tried to summon another nightmare, but nothing happened. His connection to illusion had been severed. Alex's existential nullity fully sealed every same rank or lower talent. Since both fighters were within the Grandmaster tier, Darian's ability was locked out completely. Alex calmly asked whether he wanted to continue physically. Darian dropped to his knees and admitted defeat. He was psychologically shaken by the realization that his greatest power could simply stop existing. Only after that did Alex release the suppression. Illusion returned to Darian's soul, leaving the spectators stunned by the total talent lockout. Alex had won, but the damage from the battle was already catching up with him. Alex crashed into the ground after the battle, and once the adrenaline faded, the pain returned all at once. Every cell in his body felt like it was screaming. Arthur immediately appeared beside him and handed him a healing serum. Alex drank the vial in one gulp, then asked Arthur to give one to Darian as well. Warm energy spread through Alex's body. His injuries began closing at an astonishing speed, and 5 minutes later, he was completely recovered. Max had already given Darian a healing potion. His wounds were healing too, but Darian's expression remained empty. The sudden defeat had shattered his confidence, and the moment when his talent disappeared had left him with a fear he could not easily accept. Arthur then demanded an explanation. What was that? Everyone turned toward Alex, including Anna. Alex calmly revealed that the ability was his bloodline talent, existential nullity. When activated, it suppressed every talent holder within its range. Against opponents of the same rank or lower, the suppression completely sealed their talents. Against higher-ranked opponents, the effect was weaker. Arthur immediately understood how dangerous that combination was. Alex could erase an enemy's main ability while still using his own powerful techniques. The Tower had already named him the greatest talent in the universe, but it appeared they had only seen the surface of his potential. Alindros took control of the situation before anyone could spread the information. The battle, he declared, had never happened. No one was allowed to reveal Alex's talent. He warned Anna, Max, and Darian with a sharp look. Humanity's future rested on Alex, so Alindros would not allow family pride or personal interests to expose him. Arthur had also considered writing an official report, but rejected the idea. Any record could eventually be stolen. Instead, Alindros offered Alex a place with his family. He would personally teach him, because sending Alex to the academy would now be a waste of time. Arthur agreed and explained that Alex should remain there until he broke through to the Grandmaster level. After that, he would be qualified to challenge the Inheritance Tower. Alex had never heard of it, so Arthur explained the rules. Anyone under 20 with an A-rank talent or higher could challenge the tower. Inside, challengers selected different inheritance trials including Elementalist, Weapon Master, Physical Master, and Spirit Master paths. Elindros had obtained an A-rank Spirit Master inheritance which explained much of his strength. Among the true elites of the light domain, status depended mainly on inheritance rather than raw talent alone. These inheritances were far more valuable than ordinary techniques. They could provide abilities that did not exist on Earth, along with weapons, rare resources, and other rewards. The quality of the gains depended on the level of inheritance conquered. Even the president possessed only an S-rank inheritance, so the expectations placed on Alex were extremely high. Alex realized that the inheritance tower might solve the weaknesses in his Spirit Master abilities. He accepted Elindros' offer and asked Arthur to reassure his mother. Arthur told him to grow quickly because humanity might need him much sooner than expected. Before leaving, he instructed Elindros to protect Alex and announced that he would send 10 additional emperors to guard the estate. Elindros then told Anna to show Alex to the VIP guest area. She would not need to attend the academy either and was ordered to train alongside him. Anna eagerly led Alex to his room. It was a huge, luxurious space with a private cultivation room and a separate training area. After telling him to shower, rest, and wait for food to be delivered, she quickly left, visibly flustered by how long she had been beside him. Once he finished bathing and eating, Alex entered the cultivation room. Rest could wait. The upper ranks were clearly facing serious trouble, and advancing would only become slower at higher levels. A massive device stood in the center, providing a stable energy supply. Alex activated cultivation, and a violent energy vortex formed around him. At Celestis Estate, his extended training officially began. 15 minutes later, Alex's cultivation base finally filled. He immediately triggered the breakthrough. With 2 explosive booms, he advanced to level 19, and his entire existence transformed. His strength and defense rose to 52,000 tons, his speed reached 1,500 meters per second, and his spirit climbed to 3,500 tons. His cultivation base now stood at 24 billion out of 48 billion, with energy absorption increasing to 270 million per second. This level corresponded to the Grandmaster rank. However, Alex's strength had already surpassed every Grandmaster on Earth. He did not stop there. Alex continued cultivating through the night, maintaining the process for 8 straight hours. By the time he finished, he had reached level 33. That level corresponded to Martial Lord level 5, but his actual power was far beyond that rank. Alex now possessed 2 megatons of strength and defense, a speed of 5,000 meters per second, and spirit power equivalent to half a megaton. His combat prowess had reached Martial Lord level 9, while a normal level 9 Martial Lord possessed only around 1.8 megatons of strength. Alex could feel how dangerous this sudden increase had become. If he moved carelessly, he felt he might destroy everything around him. His body needed time to adapt, or he could become a walking disaster. Yet the greater problem was still ahead. Because his cultivation base was expanding faster than his absorption rate, reaching level 72, equivalent to Emperor level 9, would take roughly 70 years of non-stop cultivation. Alex refused to wait that long. He needed to increase his absorption speed by at least 10 times. I need to find a way, and soon. Alex left the cultivation room and switched off the cultivation device, ending his passive cultivation. Ordinary buildings could no longer withstand the power radiating from his body, so he moved with extreme caution. His body had become a dense concentration of strength, and even one careless motion might bring down the ceiling. Rather than touch the door, Alex used his mental strength to push it open. The wood was strong enough to withstand a saint's attack, but he refused to take unnecessary risks. He entered the private training room, reinforced with high-grade, energy-absorbent materials, and finally relaxed. Then he began testing his new body. Every punch exploded through the air, sending shockwaves into the reinforced walls. Alex twisted, lunged, sprinted, and repeatedly changed his stance. This was not normal training. He was synchronizing his mind with his newly elevated physical limits. After an hour, the awkwardness disappeared and he regained complete control. His spirit power had helped him adjust, but his physical attributes were still far greater. Without this recalibration after a breakthrough, he could become a walking disaster. A soft knock interrupted him. "Alex, are you awake? Food is ready," Anna called. Alex opened the door covered in sweat and explained that he had been cultivating. He asked for a moment to shower before joining her. Anna agreed, but once the door closed, her face turned bright red. Her family had teased her for sounding like a newlywed wife waking her husband, and she had even risen early to help prepare the food. She had been too excited about training with Alex to sleep properly. After showering and changing, Alex headed toward the dining hall. The maids greeted him with flushed faces, and he soon noticed that every unmarried woman in the Celestis family had dressed with unusual care. Highborn cousins and household staff alike wore their finest clothes, all hoping to catch the attention of the young man who had captured the family's interest. Alex stopped and asked one maid whether there was a special occasion. She nearly fainted before insisting that everyone simply liked dressing well. Alex remained suspicious but entered the massive dining hall. Hundreds of relatives filled the endless tables, including powerful martial kings who no longer needed food but still attended for family unity. Alex greeted Alindros and asked when training would begin. Alindros told him to eat first, making breakfast the family's chance to watch and question him. Alindros gave Alex a rare paternal smile and told him training would begin after breakfast. Alex immediately warned everyone not to hold him back, proudly declaring himself a big foodie before sitting beside Darian and filling his plate. He asked about Darian's injury, even though he had caused it. Darian reminded him that only a monster would attack his own brother-in-law and then pretend to care. Alex answered with a straight face that Darian was not his brother-in-law. Since he was Alindros' student, Alex said Darian should call him grandpa instead. That shameless claim placed Alex on the same generation level as the family members at the table. Max's expression twitched, and the entire dining hall erupted in laughter. The younger relatives teased Darian for changing from a lion into a kitten while Alex continued eating as if the meal might be his last. Anna then asked how the food tasted. The entire hall went quiet because everyone knew she had helped prepare it, and they expected Alex to fall into some kind of trap. Instead, he honestly praised the meal, saying it tasted as though someone had cooked it with love and care. He also complimented the chef's skill and dedication. Anna's face turned bright red. Some relatives were disappointed that no argument had started, but others were impressed that Alex had passed her test without realizing one was happening. Alex next asked whether the women in Darian's family were always so refined, since the men looked like ordinary workers. Darian begged him to stop talking and just eat because he had to return to the academy. Alex offered him a reason to stay instead. Darian could practice with him and serve as his sparring partner. Darian immediately looked hopeful. He wanted to remain near Alex, who he clearly viewed as a future legend, but Alindros refused. Alex then reminded Alindros of the condition that Darian would not return home for a year if he failed to defeat him. When Alex defended Darian and joked that even Alindros in his prime might not have beaten him easily, every man at the table struggled to suppress his laughter. They quickly left before Alindros punished them for laughing. Alex continued asking Anna for more food, pushing Alindros past his patience. Calling Alex his disciple, Alindros wrapped him in mental energy and dragged him away to begin serious training. Anna followed with a hidden smile, clearly enjoying the household chaos. Alindros brought Alex into the reinforced training hall and immediately slammed him onto the floor. The impact would have injured an ordinary fighter, but Alex's physique had already surpassed even level 9 martial lords. To him, the floor felt as soft as hay. Still, he understood that complaining was part of maintaining his disguise, so he grunted, winced, and dusted himself off. "Master, be gentle with your disciple." Alindros' expression remained stern. He warned Alex that the training ahead would be extremely harsh, but before it began, Alex asked how many objects he could control at once. 25, Alindros answered proudly. Alex then asked whether he had always possessed that capacity. Alindros explained that his innate talent, telekinesis, had naturally strengthened his spirit master abilities. At the beginning, he could control only 5 objects. Activating telekinesis raised that number to 15. After completing his inheritance trial, he gained a specialized technique that increased the limit by another 5. That still added up to only 20, so Alex asked about the remaining 5. Alindros said his capacity expanded again when he reached Grandmaster level 7, increasing to 22. After he broke through to the Emperor realm, his final evolution raised the limit to 25. Alex immediately recognized the important detail. Without telekinesis, the inheritance technique, and Alindros' realm breakthroughs, his natural limit would have been only 10, the same as Alex's own. Alindros clearly disliked hearing that comparison, but he admitted it was technically true. Alex then asked whether he could learn the technique from the inheritance trial. Alindros said he could teach it, but advised Alex to challenge the inheritance tower himself. A trial suited specifically to his soul might be more valuable, and with Alex's current talent, he could potentially clear an SS rank trial. Alex considered that option, but another possibility had already caught his attention. Alindros' limit had increased when he reached Grandmaster level 7. Alex had secretly reached a level far beyond martial lords, so he wondered whether his own capacity had already changed. To test it, he pulled out the 10 Saint-grade flying knives Alindros had given him, along with the 3 knives he already owned. With a movement of his fingers, all 13 weapons rose into the air and formed a shining circle around him. Alindros stared in disbelief. Alex's limit had been 10 the previous day, yet he was now controlling 13 without difficulty. Alex asked for more knives so he could find his exact limit. Alindros silently produced 10 additional weapons from his space ring. Alex raised a 14th knife, then a 15th. When he attempted to control a 16th, it stayed on the ground. His capacity had risen from 10 to 15 overnight. Alindros demanded an explanation. Alex concealed his true martial lord level strength and claimed that he had broken through to martial grandmaster level 7 the day before. He suggested that the breakthrough had caused the increase. The revelation shocked Alindros. Years of painful cultivation suddenly seemed slow compared with Alex's progress. Alex privately knew he was much stronger than a martial lord, but outwardly he only confirmed the lie. Once Alindros recovered, he asked what Alex wanted to learn. Alex said he wanted to use every combination of his powers and test himself at full strength, preferably against monsters. Alindros refused to let him enter the outside world alone. If Alex insisted on going out, Alindros would speak with Arthur and arrange a protected wilderness training team consisting of 5 saints and 1 emperor. They would not interfere unless Alex faced a life-or-death situation. But before that, Alindros wanted Alex to go all out against him. Alex turned toward Alindros, ready to test exactly how far his powers had advanced. The 15 flying knives vanished with a sonic crack, then reappeared from unpredictable angles around Alindros. They struck from every direction, but the old man only smiled and allowed them to hit his unprotected physical body. The impact sounded like a metal storm. When the dust cleared, Alex saw the knives grinding against Alindros' skin without leaving even a scratch. Alindros had deliberately removed the protection from those areas, apparently to prove that his raw body was enough. "Is that all you've got?" he taunted. Alex answered by activating gravitational manipulation and increasing the force to 1,000 times normal gravity. At the same time, he applied his subatomic destruction theory to Alindros' Emperor-class battle suit. His divine sense attacked the suit's molecular bonds with enough force to shatter a king-level artifact. Even then, Alindros remained standing. The attempt showed that Alex was already approaching the level where, with further growth, he could potentially become a king-killer. Alex followed up by drawing his sword and using Blink. The strike arrived with a thunderous sonic boom, but it felt exactly like hitting a divine mountain. Alindros' physical body remained unharmed. Frustrated, Alex asked how Alindros could be so strong without using energy. Alindros simply told him to try breaking the barrier instead. He created a shimmering sphere of spirit energy, and Alex attacked it with every combination of his talents and every ounce of strength he possessed. The barrier withstood all of them until noon. Neither Alindros' body nor his spirit barrier had suffered damage. Alindros judged Alex's current strength to be equivalent to a martial lord and agreed to discuss the protected training team with Arthur. Alex, meanwhile, advised Anna to develop divine sense and learn to control gravity from within rather than relying only on external force. When Alex checked his status panel afterward, he confirmed that his external talent limit had risen from 4 out of 15 potential slots. That discovery mattered more than the failed attacks. His spirit master talent was directly increasing his capacity to copy talents. He decided to prioritize becoming stronger before challenging the Inheritance Tower. Alex's determination to challenge the Inheritance Tower had become unshakable. The tower was no longer just a distant goal or symbolic milestone. It was the gateway to greater spirit master capacity and a supreme technique, so Alex knew he had to reach his absolute peak before entering it. He then asked Alindros about body cultivation techniques. Did every emperor use one? Were there restrictions? And how did the different techniques compare? Alindros stopped and explained that these techniques were inheritances obtained by physical masters after completing their trials. Only 10 were currently known to exist, and every one of them was ranked SS. Strangely, all 10 had been acquired through ranked trials. Their differences came from their foundations. Some techniques tempered the flesh with rare metals, others used elemental forces such as fire, lightning, or frost. A few integrated unique substances directly into the body. Each technique had 7 levels. Cultivation could begin after reaching the martial master realm, and the technique advanced by 1 level with every major realm. Once a cultivator reached the Emperor realm, the 7th level granted an 8-fold permanent amplification to defensive ability. That meant a completed technique could transform an already powerful martial body into something almost impossible to damage, with durability approaching that of a sacred artifact. Alex then asked if he could cultivate multiple techniques and stack their effects. Elindros immediately rejected the idea. Once a body was bound to one technique, it would reject every other technique. Trying to cultivate a second one would destabilize the core and could destroy the cultivator. Since Alex had won his wager against the Nightville heir, he considered claiming that clan's technique. Elindros instead told him to choose the Alliance's method. It was the most versatile option, using the blood essence of powerful monsters to strengthen the body naturally. Unlike techniques based on metals or elemental fragments, it would not fill his flesh with foreign materials. It would improve his durability while preserving his adaptability. Arthur would send Alex the method, and the blood essence needed to begin. After leaving the training chamber, Alex felt hungry and went to shower before eating. He still needed food to survive, although one more major breakthrough would change that. Meanwhile, Elindros contacted Arthur and warned him that Alex was progressing at an unimaginable speed. The Alliance needed to increase its investment, assemble a dedicated team for him, and send the body cultivation technique immediately. Elindros would provide the blood essence for Alex's first 3 breakthroughs. Afterward, Alex would have to enter the wilderness and gather the remaining materials himself. Elindros also asked when Julius would return. Arthur explained that the president was hunting near the outskirts of the Amazon forest and would be back with his squad within 7 days. Once Julius returned, Elindros would lead the next hunting expedition. Neither man expected the current period of safety to last. Arthur looked through his window and quietly remarked that the sanctuary period would not continue much longer. The external danger was getting closer, so the Alliance was preparing Alex while it still had time. Back in his room, Alex showered and changed. He planned to start practicing the body cultivation technique soon, then venture into the wilderness after Omni Weave finished upgrading. Before he could begin, Arthur contacted him and asked whether he needed any additional techniques. Alex honestly requested the Annihilation Sword technique, admitting that he could not afford it yet. Arthur told him not to worry about payment and said Alex could repay him gradually. He transmitted the technique immediately. Alex then called his mother and spoke with her for a while. After lunch, instead of training, he lay down and slept. His body and mind needed time to recover. When he woke, Anna called from outside his room. Alex unlocked the door with a wave of his hand, and Anna invited him to go somewhere she thought he would enjoy. He agreed and took a moment to get ready. However, Anna's bright expression disappeared when she entered the drawing room. More than 10 of her unmarried cousins were waiting there in carefully chosen outfits, with Darian among them. Elindros had allowed Darian to remain at the estate as long as Alex stayed there. One older cousin, Aaron, asked where Alex was. Anna coolly pointed out that Alex was practically a child compared with her. Aaron replied that she was only 18 and could let Alex decide that for himself. Darian quickly eased the tension by suggesting that Alex might assume they were unhappy about his stay if he saw everyone acting so seriously. Alex soon emerged in simple casual clothing and asked where the group was going. Rihanna, 1 year younger than Anna, answered with a playful smile, the underground fighting arena. Alex had never heard of it. Darian created masks for everyone and told him to wear one while he explained during the flight. Alex chose a Batman mask and noticed that none of the group displayed the Celestis family crest. The 12 masked Celestis youths then departed together and entered the arena district. Inside the airship, Darian explained how the underground arena operated. It was not a normal tournament. The arena served as a life-and-death battleground where martial artists could fight violent criminals without suffering legal consequences. Anyone who entered accepted full responsibility for what happened. Victory meant surviving, defeat meant death. Alex considered this carefully, then asked Anna whether the girls genuinely enjoyed such violence. Aaron answered before Anna could respond. They were martial artists, she explained, and avoiding violence would leave them too weak to survive. Alex accepted the reasoning with a nod. The airship landed some distance from the arena. From there, all visitors had to continue on foot because walking was one of the arena's strict regulations. A fortified gate stood ahead, surrounded by masked figures entering and leaving. There were 12 members in Darian's group. At the entrance, a guard examined them and asked how long they intended to stay. Darian requested access for the full night. The guard demanded 144 high-grade cosmic crystals, and Darian paid immediately. In return, each member received a card showing a 12-hour countdown. They passed through the gate and entered the underground arena. Alex quietly studied the people around them. Most of the martial artists were below the martial lord realm, while a handful carried the presence of martial kings. However, none appeared stronger than that. Alex considered the possibility that higher-ranked experts used a different entrance. The arena had no ordinary legal protection. Here, an imperial heir and a street-born criminal stood on equal ground. The Tower of Ascension itself enforced the rule that nobody could remove their mask. Anyone who violated it would receive punishment inflicted directly upon their soul. Because identities were hidden under the tower's enforcement, even powerful families could not rely on normal law inside this place. The group had taken only a few steps when a rough voice ordered them to stop. 5 broad-shouldered men wearing animal masks approached from behind. Their eyes moved openly over the group, especially the girls. Their leader crudely demanded that 5 of the girls leave with the 5 brothers. The atmosphere changed immediately. Darian stepped forward and placed himself between the men and the rest of the group. He gave them 30 seconds to apologize and leave. His voice remained completely even. The masked leader ignored the warning. Judging by Darian's voice and the part of his face visible beneath the mask, they recognized him as a teenager. With no guardian nearby and no intimidating aura protecting him, they assumed he was harmless. The man changed his demand, saying he wanted all 10 of them and intended to make Darian watch what happened. Darian did not react. Instead, he began counting down. When he reached 20, the man lost patience and threatened to kill everyone. Then he charged with a deafening sonic crack. Darian's face went pale. His opponent was a martial lord, and without a guardian, Darian had no chance of matching him. He desperately waited for the hidden protector his family had arranged, but no one appeared. With no other option, Darian released his mental force and raised 7 flying knives into a defensive shield. The surrounding spectators watched, already expecting the weaker group to be slaughtered. The attacker identified Darian as a spirit master and laughed at the chance to crush a genius. Then he struck the shield. The impact scattered all 7 knives instantly. Darian could not withstand a martial lord's strength. Before him stood Marcus Vale, a level 5 martial lord with an A-rank physical enhancement talent. By activating it, Marcus could increase his strength 3-fold for 10 minutes, though he required an hour of rest before using it again. Darian's defense had failed, and Marcus advanced to finish him. Alex watched silently from the side, analyzing the attacker instead of rushing in. The man's base strength was 0.7 megatons. Once his A-rank physical enhancement talent activated, that power rose to 2.1 megatons. In this sector, those numbers made his arrogance understandable. He was genuinely one of the strongest people present. But Alex wanted to know something else. Why did Marcus crave killing so intensely? Why would a human being take pleasure in ending another person's life? How did the brain of someone like that actually function? In his previous life, Alex had read countless reports about serial killers, rapists, and psychopaths. He had always feared people like them, yet he had never understood why anyone would desire murder when they already had food, shelter, and security. Now he had found the perfect subject, and he finally possessed the strength to examine him. Alex stepped forward and placed himself between Darian and the charging martial lord. Then he casually raised one hand and flicked a finger against Marcus's forehead. Marcus was moving too quickly to react. The impact sent him flying like a discarded puppet. As Alex advanced toward him, an immeasurable anger filled his chest. Some people dedicated themselves to protecting humanity. Others took pleasure in destroying it. To Alex, violent criminals were parasites, beings that contributed nothing and only harmed those around them. Marcus landed hard and stared upward, stunned. He could not understand how the masked youth had crossed the distance so effortlessly. Alex sat beside him and asked gently, "Why do you want to kill him so much?" The question sounded calm, but Alex's killing intent pressed down on the entire arena. The spectators had seen violence before. They were not strangers to bloodshed, but the cold, suffocating intent pouring from Alex horrified them. It did not feel like ordinary anger. It felt like the detached interest of someone studying an object. Marcus looked into Alex's eyes and felt a chill run through his body. He tried to activate his talent, only to discover that he could no longer sense it. Alex had already sealed it. Marcus also wondered how this youth knew his name since his mask remained intact. Alex gave him no time to ask. Mental energy surrounded Marcus and lifted him into the air. A flying blade emerged from Alex's space ring. With precise control, Alex opened Marcus's skull and began dissecting him while he was still alive. The arena fell completely silent. Alex peeled back the scalp, exposed the bone, and separated the skull piece by piece with refined mental force. He worked calmly, as if performing routine research rather than cutting into a living man. Marcus's 4 allies finally recovered from their shock and charged forward, shouting at him to stop. Alex did not even look at them. He simply flicked his index finger. 4 blades shot outward and reduced the attackers into thousands of fragments. Only then did Alex finish removing Marcus's skull. He used telekinesis to pull the brain from the cranial cavity, but Marcus was already dead. Holding the brain close, Alex coldly ordered the AI to generate a 100% precise human brain model so he could compare the two and understand why people like Marcus existed. To the spectators, however, the conclusion was obvious. The person dissecting a corpse was now the psychopath. Darian approached cautiously. He said the killings had been necessary because Marcus would have killed them and might have done unspeakable things to the girls, but the dissection had gone too far. Alex accepted the criticism without guilt. He wrapped the brain in plastic and stored it in his space ring, then approached Anna. "Are you afraid of me now?" Anna shook her head. Despite the gruesome scene, she admitted that she was not afraid of Alex at all. Alex smiled faintly at Anna's answer, then turned his attention back to Darian. He asked whether the arena existed to help the younger generation become accustomed to the world's brutality. Darian confirmed that was its purpose, while adding that Alex could challenge the criminals himself if he wished. Alex refused. As far as he was concerned, the arena had already done what it was meant to do. There was no reason to remain in a place where people kept looking at the girls with revolting interest. Without hesitation, he started toward the exit and told everyone they were leaving. The girls stayed still for a moment, their hearts pounding. Alex had shown no mercy to his enemies, and his killing intent was terrifying even from a distance. Yet now he was leaving the arena because he did not want the girls subjected to further attention. Anna glanced at her cousins and immediately understood what they were thinking. She privately wondered why Alex had suddenly begun acting like a gentleman, although she was pleased by his concern. Once outside, Darian asked where they should go next. Alex suggested touring the city, sampling different cuisines, and exploring its entertainment. During the conversation, he also asked when Darian planned to challenge the Inheritance Tower. Darian explained that he would wait until reaching level 9 and still had roughly 4 months before he could attain that level. Alex simply nodded, and the group continued through the city after removing their masks. They had not gone far when a rich, irresistible smell reached Alex. He followed it to a modest roadside restaurant where an old man was grilling meat. Alex immediately suggested that they eat, and the girls and Darian agreed. They took a table while the owner continued cooking with his back turned. Darian asked the old man to serve them his finest dishes. Soon afterward, a server brought out the food. Darian froze when he saw who had delivered it. The girls also stiffened, but Alex did not recognize the person and started eating. The moment the meat touched his tongue, its flavor overwhelmed him. Tears streamed down his face as he devoured the entire serving almost instantly. Because the others had not started, Alex innocently asked whether he could have their portions. Everyone refused at once, even Anna, warning that they would declare war if he touched their food. Alex found their reaction excessive and simply requested another plate. A thunderous laugh suddenly echoed through the restaurant. Someone mocked him, explaining that even customers who had eaten there for hundreds of years had never received a second serving. Alex looked around and realized the restaurant was not nearly as small as it appeared from outside. Its interior extended into a vast concealed space filled with hundreds of occupied tables. Saints and emperors were gathered everywhere. He had failed to notice any of them until that moment, so Alex activated his scanning ability. The first powerful figure he identified was Varian Ashbourne, an SS-rank Beastmaster and a level 9 Emperor. Varian possessed a contracted beast and could merge with it, gaining its abilities while retaining his own power. Alex also scanned Samuel Jackson, an S-rank invisibility user and level 8 Emperor, who could turn invisible and pass through solid objects for 30 minutes before needing a 2-hour cooldown. Everywhere he looked, the customers were either emperors or high-level saints. Then Alex scanned the server and discovered Harrison Ford, an SS-rank wood manipulator and level 1 Emperor who could infuse life energy into others and heal them back to their fundamental level. Only then did Alex understand why the others had been unwilling to start eating. They likely already knew exactly who was serving them. Then Alex looked toward the old man who had finally turned to face him. His appearance was ordinary, but an indescribably noble aura surrounded him. Before Alex could react, the old man appeared beside him with a fresh plate of meat. "Go on, child, you need greater nourishment if you want to grow faster." The moment he placed it down, every emperor in the restaurant stood up in protest. They demanded to know why Alex was receiving a second serving when the old man had established a rule against it. They wanted more food too. Nalan only looked at them with open disdain. He made it clear that he would not break his rules for those punks. This exception was reserved for Alex alone. No one dared argue after that. Alex was stunned, so he immediately scanned the old man. Name Nolan Magnus. Talent Alchemist SSS. Rank Level 9 Emperor. Nolan was the foremost martial artist in the light domain, the bearer of the first SSS rank talent, and the master of the current generation of emperors. His alchemist talent allowed him to combine materials into pills that were at least 10 times more potent than the total strength of their ingredients. He was also responsible for creating nearly all the serums and medicinal pills used in the world. Alex instantly decided that he had to obtain this talent. The system responded to that desire by offering him a way to copy non-elemental talents. The price was 3 external talent slots, but future copies of the same type could be used to strengthen the talent. Alex would have sacrificed even more for an ability like this. Pretending he did not know Nolan's identity, Alex asked to shake his hand and praised the food. Nolan agreed, but demanded that Alex work for him once a month for 1 year. In return, Alex would be allowed to eat at the restaurant without limitation. Alex accepted immediately and even offered to work every day without payment. Nolan then explained that the restaurant only opened once a month. When they shook hands, Alex gave the order. The system sacrificed 3 external slots and successfully copied the non-elemental alchemist talent. Alex was in an exceptionally good mood. After securing unlimited food at Nolan's restaurant, even the world seemed lighter, the sky bluer, and the air more expensive. Nolan casually told him to return the following month. Alex agreed, then turned toward Anna, Darian, and the other Celestis youths. That was when he noticed they were all kneeling. Their expressions were solemn and reverent as they greeted the old barbecue seller as His Majesty, Alchemy Emperor Nolan Magnus. Alex blinked and pretended to be confused. He asked how this could be the Alchemy Emperor when Nolan was clearly just an old man selling barbecue. Darian's eye twitched. He quietly ordered Alex to stop talking and explain the truth. Nolan was the first pioneer of humanity and the master of every emperor on Earth. He had taught Alindros, the Alliance president, and the current emperors. In Darian's estimation, even a casual breath from one of them could erase the people standing there. The emperors watched closely. They already knew Alex as the Tower's ultimate genius, the man who had reached the 100th stair and received a title from the Tower. They expected fear or at least hesitation. Instead, Alex jumped from the table and hugged Nolan. He dramatically called him Grandmaster and complained that Nolan had not visited after Alex left the Tower. Then, while clinging to him and pretending to sniffle, Alex asked whether this reunion came with 3 tons of barbecue. Nolan stared at him and demanded to know how Alex could call him his Grandmaster. Alex released him and answered immediately. He was Elindros' disciple, Nolan was Elindros' master, so Nolan was therefore Alex's Grandmaster. The reasoning was technically correct and Nolan reluctantly accepted it. He agreed to prepare 3 tons of barbecue. Alex's eyes lit up, but Nolan added one condition. Alex had to eat all 3 tons at the restaurant immediately. The laughter stopped. What had begun as shameless joking had suddenly become a serious request with an impossible serving size. Alex froze as the emperors leaned forward, waiting for his answer. Instead of accepting the challenge, he stepped behind Nolan and began massaging his shoulders with surprising precision. Grandmaster, Alex said earnestly, you're already old, don't work too hard. While continuing the massage, he proposed that Nolan prepare only 10 kilograms of barbecue per day. According to Alex, that would be enough. Nolan immediately burst out laughing and called him even more shameless than himself. The other emperors nodded in agreement, while Alex simply grinned, completely unaffected. Then his expression changed. The joking smile disappeared and Alex asked Nolan for permission to observe him refining pills and serums. This time, he genuinely wanted to learn alchemy. Nolan and the emperors recognized the change in his attitude. When Nolan asked why, Alex explained that although his cultivation talent was extremely high, he could sense that the older generation was preparing for something serious. He wanted to become an emperor as quickly as possible, but reaching that level would require mountains of resources. Alex did not want to depend on everyone else. If he learned alchemy, he could hunt for materials outside and produce his own pills, allowing him to support his rapid growth. Nolan understood that Alex was taking the approaching calamity seriously. Still, he told him not to worry yet. When the sky fell, the older generation would hold it up for the younger cultivators. Alex's priority was becoming strong, and Nolan warned him never to choose a dark path. He then gave Alex a black metal access card marked with golden runes. The card allowed him to enter the Magnus Tower and use any floor except the restricted areas. However, Nolan warned that alchemy remained extremely difficult even for someone talented, with a success rate of only 1 to 5%. Alex bowed and thanked him, saying he would visit the tower the next day. He then apologized to the gathered emperors for his earlier behavior. They laughed it off, and Samuel admitted that Alex had been entertaining before asking how he had developed such thick skin. Alex paused, briefly remembering his orphanage days when he had buttered up an elderly caretaker every day just to avoid being thrown out. To him, that had been true cultivation. Survival had forged his thick skin. He simply blinked, smiled innocently, claimed he did not know what Samuel meant, and waved good night. After Alex left, the emperors discussed the upcoming calamity. Samuel asked whether they should warn him, but Nolan refused. Alex still had time, so they decided to let him grow freely. On the walk home, Anna shyly asked to accompany Alex to Magnus Tower because she was a fan of its master. Alex happily agreed. He then asked Darian for beast cores, receiving 10 beast master level cores. Darian offered grand master level ones too, but Alex declined, intending to experiment with the weaker cores that night. When Anna asked if he feared the alchemy emperor, Alex said he preferred clinging to powerful allies over fearing them, then joked about barbecue. Under the moonlight, the trio returned home. Alex's night ended with more than a full stomach and another ridiculous bargain. By earning Nolan's approval, he gained access to the Magnus Tower, a place where even a 1 to 5% alchemy success rate separated talent from failure. More importantly, his request revealed that beneath the shameless grin was someone preparing for the calamity ahead. He would no longer rely entirely on others for the resources needed to become an emperor. With Anna beside him, Darian's beast cores in hand, and Nolan's black card secured, Alex returned home ready to begin. But the test was starting. Beast cores contained immense energy, yet dark miasma made their power dangerous to absorb. Could Alex's